Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the pro wrestling and football podcast we bring you each and every week. It is Wednesday, it's midweek, it's Pro Wrestling Weekly. The panel is assembled as always. Sean Mack will be joining us shortly as well. Keith's back by popular demand to join us as well, with more hot takes to get off his chest, so we look forward to that later in the show as well. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel, hitting that bell notification button and dropping a like on the video as well. Thank you to everyone who gave us the interviews from the boys at the Tree Arena there the other night. Check out the shorts that we put up. I think it was yesterday. They're doing really, really well. Keep an eye out for those. There'll be more of that coming up as well. And don't forget, this week we've plenty going on, including this Sunday. We have a watch along for Clash in Paris, which is shaping up. Looks like it's going to be a pretty good show by the looks of things as well. So on the back of the SummerSlam 2-nighter, we're bringing you Clash live this Sunday. Anyone who wants to join us, you're more than welcome. Bit of crack as always. It's fun, it's lighthearted, it's a bit of crack. Doesn't matter how good or bad the show is, we'll bring you the fun if it's not on the show. As always, I'm joined by Bran. How are you, Bran?
I'm brilliant, Niall. Do you know what? I'm still wrecked after the weekend. You know what I mean? And like I had Smackdown on Friday, which we'll get into. I had Robbie Williams on Saturday, and my age is kicking my ass this weekend. I woke up on Sunday and I needed crutches almost. I thought I needed crutches. But look, I digress. I'm doing all good. Thank you.
See that, Keith? Didn't even mention the draw with Fulham on Sunday. See that?
Yeah.
Totally avoids it. Totally avoids it. There we go. There we go.
How long were you holding that one?
I'll tell you, you're not getting away with that one. Sean O in the house as well. Sean, how are we?
Oh, good. Happy to be here again. I do look forward to our little meet up every week. So let's get into it.
Nothing little about it. And Keith, of course, is always big up, mate. So make sure, Sean Mack is in the chat. Joining shortly, gents, just grabbing a bite to eat, but I am in my house. Don't worry. Cool. If I sound a little bit funny tonight, folks, it's because I'm nursing COVID. I'm down with COVID at the moment, so I'm trapped in this room. So I've nothing but slides to prepare and podcasts and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, getting through it. Yesterday was a tough old day. Today, a little bit better. Right, what we have in the show tonight, we're going to go back through SmackDown last Friday. We're going to get the perspective from the boys who were at the show and the watchbacks, and the perspectives from myself and Keith who watched it at home. I did a watch along. I have to say it was great fun. Really, really enjoyed it. So there we go. So let's get into SmackDown. I think, Keith, we should start with the boys. The boys were at the show. Bren, kick us off.
Being at SmackDown was special on Friday for me anyway. The highlights for me was a few things. The John Cena segment was just special. I've been a John Cena fan since 2002. I'll be one of the people very sad to see him go in December. And then the Randy Orton return was incredible. And I thought Becky did very, very well at the start. And you know what as well? Do you know what I love about the wrestling community? Such a small community sometimes, because I'm in the crowd and I'm like, I know that person. I seen an old friend at the show called Reggie. I think Reggie's going to be watching in tonight. But overall, look, SmackDown Live being there was a blast, a complete blast. And the John Cena moment for me was the best, but it was probably one of the most special times I've had at a show, because he means that much to the sport, and me as a fan, he means that much to me. It was really lovely to be there, I have to say. What do you make of it, Sean?
I have to agree with you. You know, it's one thing watching it on TV every week, but when you're there in person, it just really hits different. And me, obviously, we know week in, week out, I love talking about Becky Lynch and how big of a fan I am. So seeing Becky Lynch and John Cena, two of my absolute favourites, live and in person, was easily the best night of my life. Enjoyed every minute.
That's a review. That is a review. The best night of my life. And you're not the first person I heard saying that. So it was that special live.
Now, Keith.
Come on.
Well, look, I enjoyed the promo section too, I have to say. I know, like what Sean's saying, it's different when you're watching it live compared to watching on TV, which I 100% agree with. I loved the Becky Lynch promo. I thought it was fantastic. From just the start to the finish, it was fucking great. The way she just wound up everything. And you know what? You have to be Irish, I think, to understand the lingo that she was talking about in some aspects that she was talking, like, I felt. But I don't know. I just thought that I was chatting to Niall about this. I thought that the lineup was a big letdown for a lot of the matches. Do you know, like I would have liked to seen John Cena have a match, even if it was a tag match or something. You know, it didn't have to be a long one. Even like it was great to see Randy, but I was a bit disappointed he only had a cameo as well.
I'll be honest with you, Keith. I actually thought John Cena was going to have a match there.
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was going to be a match, and I think we mentioned last week that he put something up on Instagram about Seth Rollins, and we know Seth Rollins was in Dublin. We do know he was in Dublin, so I did expect to see him in a match, and I think watching it back on TV the way I did, it was, and I'm stealing this one from my friend Dan. It was like Teddy Long booked the show. You know what I mean? All the players at the start got were in the main event. He was only short to bring out the Undertaker to give somebody a hiding. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I think you're bang on. Being there and watching it is two different things.
Like I'm enjoying Tiffany Stratton as well. I would like to see Tiffany Stratton against Becky Lynch. I think that would be money, to be quite honest with you. I'm kind of done with the Tiffany and Nia Jax stuff, to be honest. I think they need to put that aside for now. Other than that, it's great seeing Priest again. I'm a big Priest fan. I love Priest. And it was great seeing...
Speaking of that, what did you think of R-Truth? I was disappointed when R-Truth wasn't there.
I thought it was hilarious. I fucking loved it.
It was proper. It was proper. And look, it was a good cover-up. I seen Niall shake his head there. Niall, talk to me.
Well, let me begin, first of all, by saying... Where shall I begin? to steal a word off Keith, I have a lot to get off my chest. Now, you guys know I've been at WrestleManias and I've had a few beers and I've thought they were the best WrestleManias ever till I came home and watched them, namely WrestleMania 25. And I have to say, I had the same similar feelings about this. You know how I feel about pricing and where wrestling is going with fans. I think it's very unfair at the moment, the amount of money that people haven't forked out. I had a father with his family in with me on Friday picking up some merch, and he had spent $2,500 on tickets for 5 of them. And I just thought it's a little bit outrageous. And then I went into the show and I thought, well, look, it is John Cena's last time in Ireland under wrestling anyway. And it is I would have thought his last match and stuff like that. While I enjoyed Becky's promo, I didn't really feel they needed to get the Irish stick in there in the beginning and parachute in a person who has absolutely nothing to do with the brand. I thought the show should have opened with a John Cena promo with John Cena being attacked to set up the main event, which should have been a tag match. And if you want to get the Irish out there, you have John Cena getting beaten down by Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre, and you have Sheamus hit the building right at the beginning. And that's your Irish pop, and that sets up your main event, which could have been John Cena and Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. And that's what it should have been. The last appearance for John Cena in Ireland, and taking into account 70% of that audience were John Cena fans, and over 90% of that audience or more were there to see him. That's the pull that John Cena has. That's why his name was on the poster. That's why his name was added to the marquee. And that's why you paid the price that you paid for the tickets that you paid, because you paid to see John Cena. And I thought that the fans there got a little bit hard done by. I think it warranted a lot more than a promo and a sly dig at the end in an alleyway. And I was a little bit disappointed with that. So that started me off. The other thing I was extremely disappointed was I found out then that Jacob Fatu was in a dark match or in a main event match or whatever it was, and he wasn't on the main card. And Jacob Fatu is one of the most over guys in there at the moment, extremely popular and stuff like that. And while you have Solo and the boys there, surely Jacob Fatu has to be a part of anything that goes on there if it's Netflix Live. And I was disappointed in that. I'm a big Street Profits fan. I love the Street Profits. I think they're absolutely amazing. I'm a big Motor City Machine Guns fan, so I didn't necessarily have a problem with the tag matches. I thought that the tag matches were a little bit overkill. I thought that the main event women's tag match certainly did not warrant the main event status, and we still could have had the Becky promo halfway through the show. So from my point of view, I loved when R-Truth wasn't there, and not because of anything to do with R-Truth. I'm an R-Truth fan. But we've questioned over the last month or two about the quality of SmackDown, and it's really been missing. And when Damian Priest came out, I said, finally, we're going to get a match here, Aleister Black and Damian Priest, that's worthy of SmackDown quality. And then it just became a schmozzle very quickly. And I get that maybe it's setting up for something down the line or something like that. But I just thought with the amount of money that people paid, every second person or more had John Cena merchandise on them. It was a huge night. And not only billed as a SmackDown live on Netflix, the very first time, it's historic. We did a watch along for it. That's how historic it was. But it was really Dublin and Ireland's farewell to John Cena, really. Because you guys now, Bren, as you said, you're following now 23 years, you're following John Cena's career. Longer than I've had the shop. And I'm pretty much the same as well. And I have spoken for a long time how I believe that John Cena is probably going to get down as the greatest professional wrestler stroke entertainer that we've ever seen in our lifetime. And you know how big I am on Hulk Hogan and stuff like that. And I think that we were just let down a little bit by what was presented. I got a feeling that the booking, not that there was a lack of star power. I know Keith mentioned earlier there was a lack of star power. It wasn't so much that there was a lack of star power. There was a lack of how they used and booked that star power on that show. And my biggest concern and what was selling me all week was that we're going to get the live SmackDown. So the TV is going to follow on from the TV. And it felt like an isolated house show than he did a follow on from the TV. That's how I felt about it. And if it's good enough to give us a match with John Cena in Montreal, surely it's good enough to give us a match in Dublin. And I was a little bit disappointed by that because they have the Dublin t-shirt, they have the Dublin belt, they have all the other Dublin stuff. We shouldn't be any different than anyone else. And I know sometimes you have to dampen it down a bit on your route to something like Clash in Paris and stuff like that. But I came away from that SmackDown while I enjoyed the watch along and the you know, everything with the chat and all that kind of stuff. I was happy for you guys in there that you had a good time and seeing John Cena. I thought the promo was really, really good. But I just felt a little bit shortchanged in the watch along. And I didn't even pay 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 quid for a ticket. That's my overall feeling about the SmackDown show. And I just thought, I think, you know, if you're going to roll Becky out at the start, why not use Sheamus and put him into that kind of scenario with John Cena? His history with Drew McIntyre, he's feuded with Drew McIntyre all his career before he even ever got to WWE. Logan Paul is obviously the marquee match at Clash. So it would have fitted, and you would have given John Cena that go-away match in Dublin. And that's the go-away match that should have ended that show for you guys, because that's Cena's send-off.
Yeah, and I actually understand what you're saying, because we were talking about it, and for the price I paid, well, not I paid, to be honest, the tickets were gifted. But for the price of one of the tickets that I had for SmackDown, we priced it, I think, in the shop. Basically, it's we would have got, for one person, tickets to AEW Dynamite in Edinburgh or wherever it was in Scotland, flights out for return flights, and a hotel for one night, and possibly a meal with some change for one ticket. And we would have got a whole show. And I seen something on the TikTok machine. There was some dude at the AEW show. He spent £30 on a ticket, and he was on the ground floor. Like, he was about 6 or 7 rows back.
I priced 2 weeks ago. I priced Clash for Clash and Raw, 3 nights in Paris and flights, €500.
That's insane. And look, we're going to book the trip next year for AEW in the UK, and it's going to cost like it's going to be similar. So okay. I think based on what you're saying, because even you mentioned the John Cena merch, the only place you're going to be able to get that John Cena Dublin T-shirt, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, now is your shop in about 2 weeks' time. Would that be correct?
Yeah,
because you can't get on. You can't get it on the website at the moment. It's completely sold out. When it's gone, it's gone.
I got it on the website. I was one of the last. Once I checked, there was only 3XL and 4XL left.
When I went onto the website just to check, because I'm going to get it in Stephen's Green and Niall shop in the next in the next 3 weeks, because it kept coming up on the Book of Faces, the ad. So I just clicked into it to see what the crack was, and you cannot get it anymore. The point I'm trying to get at is the money for the ticket, the T-shirt sales that he made, the belt, I believe, is sold out as well, or there's limited. I agree. We should have got a tag match, a match where he would have been protected. So I agree with that. And I think watching it back, when I watched it back, I think if I wasn't there, I would have got the same sense as you, Niall.
Especially
And
the only thing, that's the feeling I felt about it. Like, you know, Orton came back, you got your RKO, which was a cool moment. Obviously, the Alistair Black, Damian Priest was quite jarring. You know, obviously Cody wasn't on the show, and there was so many people disappointed in that as well. You know what I mean? So it felt like they needed to give you something. They needed something big. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at that slide there, and I'm thinking, you know, one of your matches tonight was Piper Niven versus Charlotte Flair. And then you get the beat down on Charlotte Flair, and you don't even get Alexa Bliss coming out. We're not friends with the save. You got shortchanged so many times on this on every level. And again, I will reiterate again, I didn't have a problem with the Becky promo. I didn't have a problem with the Street Profits or the Machine Guns or any of that kind of stuff at all. I quite enjoyed it. But if I'm sitting in there and I've paid anywhere between €300 and €500, remember, €500, guys, is one night at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective. And listen, sometimes you can be lucky and sometimes you can be unlucky. I've gone to great shows. I've gone to horrific shows. I've paid big money. I've paid small money and everything in between. And you can never tell. But I just thought this was real lazy. This could potentially go down as potential. And you know something? The sad thing about it is the crowd at the start were fucking electric. It was amazing to see. Even here on the watch along, I was getting chills at the start with Barrett and the crowd in behind and the noise and everything else. And I was thinking, they have to give them something big here tonight. This crowd is electric.
Even when Drew McIntyre came in, I think he said, "What's the crack?" or something like that.
Yeah.
And he blew the roof off the place. And
just imagine this. Imagine getting UFC Dublin and Conor McGregor isn't in the main event. Back then. This is the equivalent of it. No, but this is the equivalent of it. Yeah. This is the equivalent of it. John Cena is your marquee guy. He's the guy everyone paid the money for. Let's be honest here. He was the guy. Came out, the promo and all was fine, but that promo should have set up a match on the night, and it didn't. And I was quite disgusted at that for people who had paid that money. I really was. Now, listen, you can always turn back in 10 years' time and go, I was there for that first ever Smackdown Live on Netflix in Dublin, and yeah, that's cool. But it's like, you know, you can always pull a shirt out of your wardrobe and say, I seen Guns N' Roses in Donington back in the 90s and pull that shirt out and go, I was there and all, you know what I mean? It's not quite the same as Guns N' Roses in the Tree Arena when fucking Axl Rose walked off stage and arrived an hour and a half late. It's a different world.
That they didn't want to make Ireland a big show, even though it's first televised.
But Keith, they know SmackDown is dying at the moment. It's been
and I mentioned that last week. Yeah,
you said it last week, and we all said it. It's not like they don't have stars. The booking on it and the mix on the moment is off. It's just.
So what do you think then? What do you think happened? So they're approaching this show. Do you think it was, look, lads, we just need to tick the boxes here, send them John Cena, and just get the clash as soon as possible?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you think it was tick the box?
Well, look, here. Do you know what really pissed me off as well on the watch along? And I didn't come across on the watch along for it and all. And I said it a couple of times as well. While you guys are at that show, they're announcing this week on SmackDown a title match, a number one contenders match. They are padding SmackDown out, the go home show for Clash in Paris. Well, you guys have sat there and paid hundreds, and some people have paid thousands to be there. Because remember, hotels were probably $300-400 a night because you couldn't get a hotel because the college football was on, Robbie Williams was on. So people were paying a fortune for transport, probably for beer and food, probably for hotels. Everything was ratcheted up. Merchandise was out through the roof and off the scale price wise and all. This was a really poor offering, I have to say. And what that really got my back up when they started saying, don't forget next week, folks, we've got a number one contenders match. We've got a title match. We've got this, that, and you're there going, yeah, but what about this week? You fucked us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for me, I left the feeling, not sour for me, because I watched it here and did a watch along. So I've no value invested in it, really. But I felt really sorry for people who had bought merchandise, invested money, hotels, travel, all this kind of stuff. Because remember, a lot of people who go to these shows as well, and I know from people coming into the shop, they're not local Dublin people. These are people who travel the length and breadth of this country to go to these shows. You interviewed people outside the show there the other night, Brand, that girl from Wexford, came all the way up from Wexford. Probably cost her a fortune to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Marketing and everything.
And I
also-
felt sorry for people like that who had you know, walked that walk, invested that money. And you think about that man who spent $2,500. That's not just $2,500. He probably spent another grand or more on accommodation if he stayed, on merchandise, on food, on the day, on all that stuff as well. So that could be $3,500. That is $7,000 of disposable income in this country where we've such a high tax rate. This is not just $3,500. You have to earn $7,000 to spend $3,500.
To add to that as well, Niall, what I will say is there was, looking at the merch stands, it was like a mini Royal Rumble. Every single merch stand was constantly going, which means that there was probably a couple of kids there that ended up maybe disappointed that they didn't get their John Cena t-shirt. I know there were people running in and running down as early as they could because the kids won't sell out like that. So I get your perspective completely. I do. It is when you put it like that, it is a bit much.
But
From
Graham, when you were there, did you hear any of the fans giving out about the show, or were they fine with it?
Well, I mean, to be honest,
what was the general feeling leaving when you're walking out and you're going down the steps and out into the yard and at the Tree Arena? What was the feeling then like?
Honestly, for me, everyone around me seemed to just be happy, and that's being honest. Sean, you mentioned that somebody was a few people were talking badly about it.
Yeah. Like we came out of the arena and we were just walking about waiting, whatever. And Sean didn't hear it, but I overheard it. And I feel after looking on Twitter and all those, I see a lot of people had the same reaction, that aside from seeing John Cena, a lot of people kind of felt, you know, that little bit of emptiness nearly.
Yes.
You know?
Return of the Mac. Here we go. What's the crack?
Hello. Sorry, I know Sean was talking. I don't want to butt in. I'll speak.
Oh, you're all right. How are you?
Very good, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me. As always, good to see you, Keith, as well.
Same to you.
I enjoyed this show, but I know I walked right in as Sean was speaking, so I'm going to let him finish, and then I'll voice my own thoughts.
Take it easy, Kanye West. I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah, you know, just kind of listening to everybody and hearing what everyone had to say. I think everyone was on that high of, you know, we just saw John Cena live and in person. You know, this is final time in Dublin and we got to be there for it. But you could hear some people had that little sense of emptiness and they were kind of robbed in a way. Well, I wouldn't take it as far as robbed, but you know, as we just talked about, you paid such a big amount of money and kind of under-delivered in a sense. Like, aside from John Cena being there, that's the one thing you're going to remember about the show. But if you, in a few years back, if you don't bother watching it on Netflix, would you really remember much of the show? You know?
Brand lows fingless.
Do you know what it is? Before Sean Mac gets into it, right? Do you know what the problem is for me? You've got a dad there with a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, decked out in John Cena gear, right? And he's having to explain to those kids, first of all, that you're not going to see Cody Rhodes tonight, so we've no champion on the show. And then after that, you have to explain to him after the John Cena promo that we're not getting a John Cena match either. And those kids are not there for Aleister Black. Those kids are not there for Jay Cargill. Those kids are not there for Damian Priest. Those kids are there for John Cena and Cody Rhodes. And that's it. So you teleport yourself back, Bren, you teleport yourself back to 2002 when you started on your John Cena journey. You got all your gear on you, your word life, your basic thugonomics, the whole thing. And you go to a show in the Point Theatre. You're queuing up all night, or your mum queues up all night outside the Ticketmaster to get a ticket. Because remember what it was like back then, 6,500 they held. It was a rat race to get a ticket for those wrestling shows. And you go to that show, and John Cena doesn't wrestle. You're staring into your bucket of popcorn and your bag of candy floss, hating life. And that's how I felt about it. That's exactly how I felt about it.
It was a wordless life.
Sean Mac.
Well, look, I was one of the people that, as Sean mentioned, was totally high on high on feeling. I mean, John Cena has been my childhood hero forever, really. And I only started going to the house shows whenever they came over in 2017. And I think there's such an air of excitement around that day because, I mean, me and Sean went up on the bus. We got to go in the shop, have food in the wonderful River Bar with the wonderful Brendan Reed. We got to do interviews outside. Like, there was so much fun and excitement in the air. And I didn't let that take away from the show. Now, saying that, being there has kind of gaslit me into thinking this is like a top 3 SmackDown in history. But looking back on it, I mean, yes, we got John Cena. That's all you could ask for. You could have given me John Cena and then turned the lights off and sent everyone home and I would have been happy. But we got John Cena. But in terms of star power, there wasn't really too much. Now, not as lacking as I think the SmackDown beforehand was probably one of the worst ones of the year, and a big culprit in that was being the lack of star power. But we had that in buckets. Now, was it a good enough show to justify the? Again, like Brian, my tickets were gifted, so I couldn't say what my tickets were, but maybe a hair more expensive than what I used to pay. Absolutely not. I think the people that we spoke to, I only got to do one interview, but I think the people that Niall and Brian spoke to about tickets, I don't think anyone said they were satisfied. I think everyone said, we're happy to be here, we're so excited, but the price we paid is an absolute joke, and it's gotten way too much.
To put that into perspective, the time before that SmackDown come over, I spent 80 or 90 quid in a ticket, and this time it was in the late 400s per ticket.
Yeah, absolute joke.
And it was a similar seat as well, if I'm honest with you. And Dan, we'll be talking about that in
coming
a
up, Dan. Don't worry, stay tuned. We have it here.
The same way I felt about WrestleMania. I remember the first podcast.
We did meet Aaron Idol.
We met Aaron Idol. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
in living color. I mean, John Cena was there as well, but it's cool. But Aaron Idol, the Aaron Idol of Irish Wrestling alumni.
Dave, if you're only joining us, Dave, I just said it. I said it about 10 minutes ago. Jacob Fatu on a fucking dark match. It's insane.
And speaking of Jacob Fatu, our friend Emma from Wexford was giving out friendship bracelets.
She found us.
You can't make that out, but that's a Jacob. Shit.
Emma,
I got a John Cena one
too. Brendan's going to reach out to Emma. Emma's going to be coming on the show.
Sean, can I ask you a question? Do you think we would think we're going to get away with SmackDown just because they had John Cena on it and they thought they'll just get by with that and not actually put on a good show?
Yeah. Well,
that's what I felt.
Well, there's that, but also the fact, and I remember, Niall, when we did the WrestleMania review, first podcast that me and Sean came on after Mania, you were there and you were kind of like, well, it wasn't great, but here I was at home fucking and cursing and blinding and punching my monitor and picking up shards of glass from my telly. I feel we've kind of reversed the roles. I had a much better time with this because I was actually there. Now, that the in-ring quality and stuff doesn't necessarily translate when you're watching it at home. I totally understand that, but I would just hope that maybe because, as we said, we sold out. We were an absolutely incredible crowd. I don't think I heard anyone complain about the crowd.
The best crowd in the world. We had the best crowd in the world, bar none.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm there.
Even Robbie Williams the next night, best crowd in the world, and we always bring it.
Queens of Stone Age said they loved Dublin as well, and that's not just a way to pop the crowd. We're genuinely great. So I'm hoping that we could get more events here. And I checked, I think Raw in Birmingham is actually not terrible. So possibly, and I know it probably won't be, but because this is the first time in Dublin, they might price higher. So next time they come back, they might come back more frequently, and it would be closer to what you normally paid.
They really need to do something about SmackDown in the next year because it's just on a last legs for me.
It needs another 2 hours, I'd say, to finally brush off the edges.
Yeah. Before we move on from SmackDown, there's just a couple of positives that I think we should point out about the show. I totally understand the perspective because I did go back and watch it. But I think Sean, you hit the nail on the head. The crowd. How cool was the Miz's reaction to the crowd?
Yeah,
he came down and he did. It was brilliant. It was sweet,
and the crowd's reaction to Miz.
No, that's it. It was just it was a two-way system. Dublin loves the Miz, and he kind of fed into it a little bit, but also as well, Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, short but amazing. And the John Cena moment overall was magic. And I think that's the main positives to take away from being there. But in terms of watching it, I totally get that feedback on the on how it came across. And actually, Niall, to be honest, I didn't hear those points previous that you made, and damn it, you're in my head
Well,
now.
don't forget as well, they made a little teaser about Brock Lesnar at the very end.
Well, you know the way they do these promos and stuff like that, and they go, "Where were you when Snooker sailed off the top of the cage? When Hogan body slammed Andre? When Macho Man came off the top rope with his elbow?
I know where you're going with this.
When John Cena cut a promo in Dublin? Fuck off! sorry. I'm not having it.
Oh,
Drag that motherfucker out. You've already screwed me on Cody. I've already bought the ticket. Get that guy out here and get him giving someone an FU in a match or something like that. Or else get him out there to get an unmerciful beatdown. Not a sucker punch that had to be taken twice. Had 2 takes in an alleyway.
And the worst thing is, in the studio, not in studio, in the arena, I should say, we got the worst angle. Now, I didn't pick up on it at the time, but watching it was pretty bad. The other thing...
And again, I will state, the promo was fine. I had no problem with the promo.
And there was 2 positives.
Deep on Logan Paul.
And one thing, just before we move on, there was 2 positives about Aleister Black and Damian Priest. The first thing being that Ron Killings followed in his footsteps of Karrion Kross in OTT by flying to the wrong Dublin. Karrion Kross meant to be on the 5th anniversary show in October.
He
also meant to say Dublin, Ohio, not Dublin, Georgia.
Dublin, Ohio. And when the scuffle broke out, I was going to say almost the entire OTT roster came out to separate it. I mean, the 2 lads had a chance from CBL, Sammy D, Alex Grayson, LJ Cleary, Jay. I think Sean actually saw Jay in the bathrooms, and as we were waiting to get picked up to go home, we saw Sammy D walking around. And a few of them actually, including Sammy D, were on Raw in Birmingham. They broke up the fight between Roman and Bronson. So great to see them get an opportunity. So we played Find That Irish Wrestler.
That's how it started for Sheamus. That's how it started for Sheamus back in the day.
Absolutely. And he actually
remember he was the one who stayed in the ring and took the pedigree. Greedy boy.
Then a few years later, he was facing him for the world title.
There you go.
Started doing the rounds, that clip of him getting pedigree.
Yeah, but I mean, look, that's just, listen, I'm not trying to shit on anyone. I hope everyone had a great time. I don't want to feel negative. I don't like talking negative about pro wrestling. I love it. I have watched enough wrestling shows in gym halls and rundown warehouses and absolute soaking rain and all that kind of thing. I have sheltered under rings in the pissing rain at Comic-Cons trying to keep merch dry. I understand the grind. Trust me. But seriously.
So next time, give more, charge less.
100%.
Fight the power, Sean.
We gotta fight.
As I said at the start, I felt for you, especially Sean and Bren, who I know we're all massive John Cena fans. But for Sean and Bren, your last thing is a promo with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
But
not mad.
Logan Paul got beaten up, and we got to chant wanker and a lot of unparliamentary language towards him. So some fun was had.
I mean,
a lot.
Yeah. Look, as somebody who's been coming into the shop and buying John Cena t-shirts, so the question I always ask when I come into the shop is the new John Cena t-shirt in? When is it coming in, and when can I get it? You make a great point. But look, you didn't take away from it. I think we all loved it in the moment, and we're all able to say, look, we can look at it objectively as a show. We can take ourselves out of it, and we can say, fair enough. But in the moment, it was just special.
Yeah. True. Right. From Friday into Sunday, and we're going to chat about Forbidden Door. So there we go. Who wants to kick off with Forbidden Door and give us a quick... We'll have to quick synapse through this because we spent 34 minutes alone on Smackdown Dublin. So we've a lot to get through tonight.
Just very quickly, how cool was it to see Edge and Christian together again? Christian kind of staying in the gimmick. He wouldn't hug him, and that little grumpy old man shot at the end. And to the date, they got an old picture to the date. I think I sent it in the group of Edge and Christian when they first started in the WWE to them on present day. It was very, very cool to see that. And look, I'm going to say something as well about Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné. The way she finished that match was pretty cool. Her reversal was pretty cool in that match. Other than that, look, Nigel McGuinness. Shout out to Nigel McGuinness. That man is incredible. Other than that, to be honest with you, Sean said it last week. I totally agree with it. To put this under the Forbidden Door umbrella is crazy. Sean said it should have been called Door. That got a giggle out of me last week. And when I was watching it, it got a giggle out of me again. This should have just been called Door. That's it, with a couple of additives. I'll be honest, I thought everything was. It wasn't a great show overall. It was okay, but that's about it, and that's where I am on it. What says you, Sean?
I mostly agree with Bren. I would say this is a very solid show, but I think overall AEW set a really, really high standard for pay-per-views. So when that's not met, even in oh dear, I think we've just look. I'm the captain now. I'm the host now. This is my podcast. Get out of here.
Noel was out of here. Noel was like, I'm not listening to that guy anymore.
AEW call. No, I thought this was a good show, but the thing with AEW is they set such a high standard for pay-per-views. So if they miss it, and even only by a little bit, like instead of having a great show, they have a pretty good show, it can hurt. But saying that, there was some fun to be had. I thought McGuinness and Sabre Jr. was absolutely, my God, it was just beautiful to watch. Even the video package beforehand of him playing chess with Johnny Saints was a really nice touch. The lights out cage match was good fun, a bit excessive. Oh, he lost his Wi-Fi. Mr. Hogan's lost his Wi-Fi, but normal service. Yeah, I'm the captain now. With normal service will resume shortly. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was solid. I don't think it was the best AEW show of the year or even the best Forbidden Door show ever, but I don't think it was as bad as people are making it out to be. I just think that they shot themselves in the foot a little bit putting it on at the same time as the G1 Climax. Now, I know obviously we had Tanahashi and we had Hiromu Takahashi, and we had some good talent, but not as many as we could have had the G1 not been. I know it's finished at that point, but like while it was being built, not his back. I didn't say anything. I mourned your loss, I promise. But with the G1 happening when it was building up, obviously, like they were really lacking talent for New Japan. So I'd say they should probably wait or at least find out when the G1 is, and then maybe when that's over, they can use a few more people. But that's a small price to pay. I still really enjoyed the show. I thought Hangman and MJF was great fun. Cage match was good. Tony Storm and Athena, I thought Brodito. The match itself was good fun, but I thought the finish was really, it turns out they made an arse of that finish. So it's a bit of a wet fart way for Brodito to win the titles, but I'm sure they'll be able to make it up. The 4-way for the TBS Championship was good as well. I think that was my first time seeing Bozilla, and I'm very, very impressed. I think the crowd were actually, I think when she came out, she got no pop, and then the crowd were totally into her by the end. Kyle Fletcher and Takahashi, I swear to God, AEW is going to have to go 18 plus if Kyle Fletcher's trunks get any smaller. And Takahashi, the only thing I didn't like, he didn't bring out the little cat that he brings out. I forget his name, but he brings out a big cat and he wins all his matches when he brings it out. Just a little fun fact, he didn't bring it out here and he lost. I'm not saying anything but, And I will say the opener, forgot to mention this, the last match of the buy-in, Jet Speed and Michael Oku against I'm trying to find there's so much I can't read it because there's so much here. It's stuffed to the brim and too much. I think that's a good metaphor for
4.5 hours.
AEW papers. Yeah, the Ops against the War Dogs. Robbie X is part of the Bullet Club War Dogs, and he had a great show. And me and Sean have been seeing Robbie X in OTT for a couple of years. We always know he's been great. Brilliant to see him shine at such a big stage, and hopefully bigger things to come in the future. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a solid show. Obviously, the G1 happening, as I said, limited the Forbidden Door aspect of it because it just became a door. It was a forbidden door that the padlock was taken off so anyone could come in, really. I just hope next year. I think they should do it in London next year. I heard some people who went there who said they actually prefer the O2 to Wembley. So maybe more events in London. I know they're doing Edinburgh and Manchester for Dynamite and Collision next year, so that should be fun. But no, overall, I thought this was a solid enough show.
We're going to Wembley next year anyway, at the end of August.
Yeah, London works best because it's more spread out, so you can find places to stay where you're not going to get gouged because you don't have to literally stay at the O2 or stay at Wembley. You can stay. It's a huge place. Plus, you have a lot of different flights going into different airports and all, so you're not getting gouged on the flights as well because a big event is on. They don't seem to cop on to WWE or AEW the way they do if it's like a big football event or a big concert or something like that, So
oh no, Travelodge Wembley Central is goated. $34.99 for a bed and then extras for breakfast or whatever. Me and Sean know that.
Great, but that's place. The one, yeah. But they're the ones that will sell out real quick when there's an event on, because that's the one that's goated by everyone. That the Travelodge, the Hampton, any of those ones that give you that buffet breakfast and all that kind of stuff work really, really well.
Just on that, Niall and Sean, I was talking to Reggie at the show, and him and his mum were saying that you can only book hotels a year in advance, which means
that's right.
They tried to book a hotel, but they were told not until the 30th of August would you be able to book that date. So if it's a case where we are going, and that's 100% locked in, we want to be looking at hotels maybe this week going into the 30th.
Yeah, but then the thing is, I don't understand why they don't gouge it for AEW. But then My Chemical Romance are playing 2 nights there in July next year. And I checked that Travelodge that I stayed in for Wembley for AEW before, and it was like 200 or something just to get the room, not including the extras. Now that's a great thing because it means like you're not breaking the bank going to these great shows. So hopefully that can continue. Hopefully Triple H can maybe. Do you remember at Money in the Bank in London, John Cena came out to pop the crowd and just say, "I would love a WrestleMania in London." If that's actually something they want to consider, I think they should take notes of AEW that they're charging not too much for a ticket. It's not that expensive to stay, and
they're on a different pot that they can't back out of now. It's going to be a real problem. If you look at the elite packages for WrestleMania next year, and we have it in the thumbnail, $70,000 and $50,000.
Ridiculous.
So they're not in the $30 ticket anymore. They're not in the $50 ticket anymore. They're in the back row ticket being £300. That's the business they're in there. Those tickets don't exist anymore. We've said it before. Look, you can get SmackDown tickets in the States for like $50-$60 and stuff like that. I think those days are coming to an end. And it's a real problem as well. It's a real problem because the average wrestling fan, and you see guys out there, and I seen it at WrestleMania in Vegas as well, lads just blowing money like it's water on bang average stuff, and it's insane.
Surely that's going to backfire, though. Surely at some point that's going to backfire.
It's not going to backfire because there's people there who will pay it. It's no different than a season ticket for Liverpool or Man United or Arsenal or whatever. If you're not taking that season ticket, there's a guy who will fill the void. And it's the same year in, year out. Everyone turned around and said, surely people are not going to keep on paying £300 to meet The Undertaker. And now they're paying £700-800. Now they're paying £1,500. Now they're paying $6,500. Now they're asking you for $8,000 to sit with Kevin Nash for 2 nights at SummerSlam. He'd be paying me $7,000 to tolerate him for 2 nights at SummerSlam. And
that's all right.
It's going to get worse and worse and worse. So if you are a wrestling fan listening to this podcast and you have aspirations of one day going to a WrestleMania, and I think every wrestling fan should experience a WrestleMania once at least, do it sooner rather than later, or you're never going to be able to do it because it's just insane. My first WrestleMania package was WrestleMania 22, silver package. They gave us so much merchandise, it was insane. We had 3 nights in a hotel. We had the Hall of Fame, fan access, all that kind of stuff. $500 or something it was, or €500 for the whole package, including 3 nights, I think, in the hotel.
And it costs the price of 1 seat in the 3 arenas somewhere to get all that.
The price of a fucking ProSphere hoodie these days, for Christ's sake. It's insane. It's fucking gone insane. And listen, I have a wrestling shop. I want to sell merch. It's gone fucking insane to the point where God help anyone who has kids who are wrestling fans now and have to provide for that level. I bring Ben to concerts and Dylan to stuff all the time, stuff like that. I know the cost. I brought Ben to AC/DC last year in London. It cost me an arm and a leg, but it was a moment. It was something we wanted to do. It was part of his 21st present. It was something we wanted to experience together. God help anyone who has 3 kids who are John Cena fans. I said it to you earlier. Man was in with me on Friday. He spent $2,500 just on tickets for that Smackdown in the 3 Arena. It's gone insane. I remember a time when they used to do kids tickets and adults tickets. It's fucking insane. Now every seat is treated the same. And you can be sitting in a seat at WrestleMania that cost you 500 quid, and the guy beside you can have paid $1,000, and the guy next to you can have paid $160. It makes no sense. And I've said it time and time again. The way this algorithm is structured now on the likes of Ticketmaster and other resellers, it's now legalized touting. It's unbelievable. They've taken the touts out of the system and they've taken it over themselves. It's insane. Absolutely insane. And it's beyond belief. And it needs to be fixed up. We all seen the documentary on Ticketmaster. It's a fucking disgrace at every level, not just wrestling.
Yeah, the entertainment industry is kind of has a gun
Like
to its
Niall,
head.
I brought my mum for her birthday to see El Divo because she loves El Divo in the Bord Gosh. I ended up spending $220 each just on the ticket. Like,
if WWE aren't careful, it's going to go back to the fucking Thunderdome again. They're going to have to put fucking monitors in there because people are just going to go, fuck you.
Do you want to know the worst thing? WWE calls themselves family entertainment. Their demographic is families, and they are pricing out their demographic.
100%.
They're pricing out the people that they want to attract to these shows. And it's so disappointing
But
compared to how it was then. But then compared to how it is now. Like, Niall, I know you said you paid $500 for your package that had everything. If you were told $500 just to be in the seat, you'd probably say, shit, I think I'll just watch it at home.
If you're Tony Khan, though, right now, like if I'm Tony Khan right now, I'm like, okay, bleeding, yes. Here's what I'm going to do. Similar to what he done in Edinburgh. I know you were saying they were a bit more reasonable in the UK in terms of prices, but they weren't that reasonable.
No, they're worse.
Well, compared to
it was cheaper for me to go to SummerSlam in Ohio than it was to go to Clash in Glasgow.
Jeez.
Make that make sense.
Yeah,
make that make sense. And
but
Tony Khan, and we can't compare the two either because it's like you turn around and going, I bought a ticket to see Man United in the Champions League and I bought a ticket to see Brentford in the Carabao Cup. It's not the same thing. You can't compare like with like. This is very different. AEW, and I say it to people all the time, there's fantastic talent in there. There's great wrestlers in there. They always generally put on solid shows. Their TV needs an awful lot of work and stuff like that. But let's be honest, this is a thrown together organization on the back of a lot of wealth and a lot of money that's existing and surviving. I firmly believe if AEW had to produce a set of financials and show a profit every year, and Dad wasn't funding the fun of this would not exist. This is what happened to TNA back in the day.
But this is
Dixie Carter had to start making a profit. It fell asunder.
But this is an opportunity, is what I'm saying. I get what you're saying, and to be honest with you,
it's not an opportunity because the kid at SmackDown the other night cheering on John Cena is not going to end up at all in cheering on Nigel McGuinness. It just does not happen, and it won't happen. It's not the same.
I get what you're saying. But what I'm just saying, I would see it as an opportunity if I'm Tony Khan. And
he'll never convert those guys because there's guys, we know guys, some of us guys are a little bit like this. We bleed Federation blood. We've been WWF, WWE fans all our life. We also love pro wrestling. But the way we watch WWE is not the way we watch AEW. It's very, very different. Very, very different. And you're not going to change that. Very few people who are there at the moment are going to abandon WWE to go to AEW.
Well, like to your point, I've never abandoned WWE, even when I've been told and I've witnessed them being unwatchable. Like that, I do bleed Federation.
2008 to 2012, it was fucking.
They are my team. They are my team. You know what I mean? Being a WWE fan at certain periods is like being a Manchester United fan today. Yeah, it's hard. So I get what you're saying.
But you're not gonna. The thing about it is, you're not gonna stop going to a Man United game to go to see Solihull Moors or to see.
No, I'm not. No.
Yes, or something like that. You know what I mean? You're not gonna do that to go and see Salford or something like that. You're not gonna do that. This is not the way this works. We have bled, we have been bred, and we have been reared on WWF and WWE. It has the lineage, the legacy, the history. That you can't compare like with like, and where these things fall down, and we've seen it with TNA when they all want to become TNA Impact or TNA Monday Night Dynamite. It doesn't work. It doesn't compare. It will never compare. It's a different thing. Sean Mack is on here. He's a huge ECW fan. Sean Mack will tell you now he doesn't watch WWE the same way he watches ECW. It's a totally different mindset. It's a totally different place. It's a totally different thing you project yourself into. And that's just the way it is. And AEW is that as well. We had to watch a guy on Sunday night stick a fork in a guy's ear.
That was just
Whether we like it or we don't like it, or whether we agree with it or we don't agree with it, that is not the same as you boys watching Clash this Sunday. It's not the same.
I don't find that wrestling to me.
Absolutely not. But the problem is, Keith, there is an audience out there for that thing, and there is a bloodthirsty audience out there in terms of wrestling who want that kind of thing and like that kind of thing, but it will never, ever reach the levels of WWE, and you will never convert the consistent WWE guy who tunes in every week, Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, PLEs, all that kind of stuff. They're not going to flip over there suddenly because Moxley decides to stick a fork in a guy's ear. It's just not going to happen. Shock value is a thing of the past now. Nostalgia is what sells right now. And unfortunately, AEW, any little bit of nostalgia they were clinging on to. I mean, what have we spoke about on this pay-per-view? How great it was to see Edge and Christian back together. No one's talking about Moxley sticking a fucking fork in a guy's ear because we know the guy is a loose cannon and he's a clown. And this is where it lies, and this is where it lies for a lot of us. You know 100%. What I mean? And that to me, that's the only way I can define it. That's what ruins it. That's what ruins what's a very, very, very solid card, is a guy who suddenly thinks that this is what people want. It's not what people want.
I agree with that. It was. I love I love Mox, to be honest. I loved Dean Ambrose and I love Mox. But when he gets up to that kind of crap, I tune out. So as you can imagine, I've been tuned out from Mox for a while. And that fork stunt was ridiculous. It was stupid. It was backward. And like that, to your point, yeah, I get that as well.
Month in, month out, we're saying that no one's carrying them to task. It's shocking. It's shocking. And that's the way it is. So listen, with Parker, anyone else want to add to this?
No.
Kind of.
Go on.
I think this pay-per-view kind of solidified it for me that AEW just isn't AEW anymore. You know, it's nearly WWE turned around. And
WWE light.
Yeah, I'm going to be dead honest. AEW between TV show and pay-per-view is the one consistently shit thing. Like there's a massive difference. You look at the people who own WWE, they care about what the fans want. AEW is a child with money, and he's given the money and said, do whatever you want with it, you know?
Wow.
But it's not what the fans want, it's what he wants.
Because there's no structure backstage.
There's no structure at all. And
John,
that's
John,
the problem.
We're gonna be talking about it. Don't worry.
It is, as I said, it's WWE. Tony Khan's version that he started out of AEW with was maybe a few ex-WWE guys, and they were the cornerstone of AEW. Now it's gotten to the point where all of AEW's original wrestlers are just thrown in the back, and let's take all of WWE's ex guys and put them on the show. What the hell is that doing for your company? It might be bringing in views, but it's taken away from what AEW really is. It's taken away that line between AEW and WWE, and it's nearly combining the two companies, if anything. It makes no sense whatsoever. And I think it is completely taken away from the pay-per-views. You look at the pay-per-view cards from the past 2 years. Like, most of the people on that card are ex-WWE guys. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But when you want to when you have your own company, you want to push your own wrestlers, but you're just more worried about who's going to get you the views. That's
Do you know what?
the
Do you know what?
problem.
Do you know what I
That
compare it
line's
to?
gone.
If you're a software company at the moment, a small software company, you're not going out to try and beat up Microsoft. You're going out to try and find little partnerships with them, little niches in the market, software that hasn't been developed yet. Do we think Zuckerberg went out to destroy Microsoft? Do we think these companies went out to destroy Dell? No, they created little niches in the market for social media, for YouTube, for all these different things to find their niche in the market, find their place in the market, and do really, really well and become the best at what they do. And that's what the likes of AEW should be doing. AEW and WWE are not in the same business. They're polar opposites. And unfortunately, people can't wrap their head around that at times. AEW is not providing what WWE provides. It's totally different on every level. Every level. And that's what they need to wrap their head around. And that's why you'll have noticed over the last few months, they've started throwing this shit and shade and shine at WWE at times through promos and all that kind of stuff, because they're wasting their time. They're hitting a barrier, they're hitting a force field that they can't break and that they shouldn't be
There'll never be a
trying to break.
WCW, Niall. That's it.
But that will never happen.
That's what I'm saying.
That was a moment in time. You will never get a Monday Night Wars again.
Yeah.
It will never happen again. We will never get an Attitude Era again. We will look back fondly on certain moments and times in wrestling that we really enjoyed and stuff like that. Even in 10 years' time, we will look back at the Bloodline time. We will look back at Cody's chase for the belt and completing the story. We will look at John Cena's farewell year or 2 years or whatever it is. We will look back on these things with some fond memories. And of course, we will question some of it as well, because that's what wrestling fans do. But these are not the same things. People traveling over, and listen, hats off to AEW. They filled out that stadium the other day. It looked amazing. If anything, and I said to you guys, I think the crowd let the show down, if anything, because I thought the crowd were at times terrible. I thought they pumped for Edge, then they died a death. Last time I seen them getting out of their seats, they got out of their seats a little bit for the end of the MJF match with Hangman, and then they got out of their seats for some of the moments in the cage and stuff like that. But that's it. Other than that, they were dead. Absolutely dead. I've seen people sitting on their hands for most of the night. And it's undeniable because it's on TV. You're sitting there and you're watching it. You could hear in some of those matches there the other night, you could hear a pin drop in that stadium. 20-odd thousand fans probably in that O2. Crazy. That's the way it is. Then you look at Monday Night Raw in Birmingham. Roman Reigns nearly has to wait 10 minutes before he can say anything. Because they're, you know what I mean? It's a totally different world. And it's a totally different audience.
I think that as of late, as I said, maybe in the past year and a half, that Tony Khan and AEW are that worried about taking WWE down or going head-to-head pay-per-view wise.
But you see, Sean, this is the thing.
We've all...
WWE, okay, let's say in the football sense, WWE is like Liverpool and Man U. They're a legacy company, right? Where like feckin' AEW is like the new Man City. They're just built on money.
Yes.
You know, and they'll never be exactly like Man U, where Liverpool is a legacy club.
Look at the reality check. I think we discussed it was on last week's show or the week before. Sean Mack, we spoke about it as well, where they were talking about positioning TNA to try and compete with AEW on a Wednesday night. And we said, we don't think it would happen and it's not the right move and stuff like that. But that's the narrative and that's the conversation. And that's what TKO are talking about. They're putting TNA out there because NXT has kicked its ass from the get-go. And NXT is often decided as being the third brand, if you like, even though it's magnificent, right? But they put that out there like it's the third brand. That's like Fulham's first team getting beaten by Man United's third team every Wednesday. This is how it looks. And that's the reality of it. And if I'm upsetting AEW fans tonight, I'm very, very sorry, but that's the way it goes. And I have a lot of time for AEW. I have a lot of time for the wrestlers in there. I think some of them are really, really good. I think a lot of what they do at times is really, really good. I think it's spoiled by idiots, as Kenny said in the chat, trying to deliver those shock values at times. And I
Yeah.
don't think it needs it. I don't think, like, you look at that show the other night, if it didn't have all that claret going on in it, and it was just a lot of really good, tidy stuff and use of, I mean, look at the talent that was in that main event. Insane. As good a talent as you'll get in any main event anywhere. And then you put it together, and in the middle of the ring, you have a guy gaffer taped to a chair getting his ear torn up with a fork. And I'm just there going,
That's a brilliant way to end it.
this
I
is
think
not, this is not New Jack Gypsy Joe shit. This is like, this shock value is not where it's at. It's not where it's at. You know what
and
I mean?
think the camel that broke the straw.
We're going to be talking about shock value in a few minutes. A certain Rampage Jackson's son. If you think shock value works, you wait and see what we have to say on that in a few minutes when that slide comes up.
Just to kind of finish off, I think AEW are that worried about ratings and taking WWE down pay-per-view wise that they're dragging both Collision and Dynamite down with them. And I've noticed that in the past few months that there has been a quality decline in both their weekly shows and their pay-per-views, and that all leads the same road, and that is the problem that they are trying to not take down WWE, but trying to compare, have that war weekly.
They're going to eventually leave at some point. The likes of MJF and all.
Well, we know Jericho. We know Jericho's moonlighting himself out to WWE right now for December.
Yeah.
We 100% know Jericho's probably going to end up as the secret guy in the Royal Rumble with a run to WrestleMania, with a book deal, with merchandise in the Hall of Fame. We know that that's where they want to finish their career, and we know that's how it should be. I've told you before, as much as whatever you want to think about the Owen Hart situation with WWE and it's fucking poxy, and we all know and stuff like that, to have the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament on AEW is absolute bullshit. It's nonsense of the highest order, and that's it. Sean Mack is dying to say something here. I could say him. He's fidgeting in the chair. He's back and forward. Come on, Mac, give it to us. Let's go.
No, it's just stretching. There's good shock value and there's bad shock value. There's shock value that makes you want to like tune in, and there's bad shock value. So, for example, I don't really have many wrestling ones, but I'll give you music ones. Wasp, band I saw in the National Stadium a few weeks ago. Markedly tame now, but Blackie Lawless, the singer, used to drink blood on stage. That makes you go, oh my God, I actually kind of want to see that. And then you have G.G. Allen, who is a rock star. Actually, Darby Allin got his name from him. He was a punk rock star who took laxatives before he went on stage. And all of his shows would end up in 5 minutes because he'd be beating up fans, covered in his own shit, covered in his own blood, throwing his shit into the crowd, eating his shit. That's the shock value that makes you go, oh, actually, I think I'd rather go away. And I can only say this, I've had issues in my ears for a lot of time. I've had all sorts of surgical shit stuck in there. I've had earwax sucked out. That spot made me a little nauseous. And I've seen people get thumbtacks in their feet. I've seen people get their shoulders dislocated on steel ring posts. I've seen people break their necks. I've seen Thumbtack Jack get a syringe through his mouth, like literally from here to here, a needle. But there's just something about that, and it's not cool.
It's not wrestling, Sean. I don't find that wrestling.
Well, I have a bit of a soft spot for, as Niall said, I'm a big ECW fan. So the thing that pushes the envelope a little bit, I quite like that, but that was too much. And I don't think it was necessary.
Tables and all that in ECW. I do like ECW, but it gets to a point where it's just a bit over the top, and it's not needed in wrestling.
But then again, Ian Rotten and Axel Rotten had a Type A death match, and that's where you wrap your hands up, put them in glue, and then put glass on them and punch each other. That's
backyard wrestling. I agree with Kenny. It's, in my opinion, that I have a Jerry Lawler gripe with ECW. That's where I am. I don't agree with everything he says.
Yeah, and backyard wrestling is fine when it's presented as backyard wrestling. A few mates having fun on their back, just trying to have a good time. But when it's on national TV and you have to pay for it. Yeah.
I think Lawler's comment about ECW, though, was very narrow. He was talking about a certain segment on it. There was a lot of very good stuff in ECW as well. Let's not get that twist as well. I know if you don't like the hardcore stuff and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't all that.
No,
you know what I mean. There was a lot of very good stuff in ECW as well down through the years. So Lawler was just a bit of a clown, at times. Sean O. Or I want to challenge you to do a WWE match with me, Iron Man match.
Who is this Sayer fella, Sean, or lady? Who is it?
No idea.
I
We'll
don't
find
know,
him.
but they've
We'll
laid out
find
a
him.
challenge.
And it's even better because I've got 2 belts to put on the line. So let's go. Let's go.
By the way, if you had brought either of them to the event the other night, you were getting a hide.
Bucky.
Oh,
I would have pinned you. 1, 2, 3.
Getting a
you're
roll
back
up
with the
near
It'd have been
monkeys.
worse if I had a
You bring a belt to an
24/7
event.
title.
You bring a belt to an event. You're defending it. That's it.
Big up, Sire. Big up. Big up. Right, let's
I'm
get
gonna
talking
win
about.
anyway.
Let's talk quickly about Raw, and then we'll quickly touch on Clash, and then get into some of these topics because we got Keith's chess corner as well to get through as well.
Mm.
Right, who wants to run us down through Raw?
Can I say, because I have a big gripe on Raw and a small little gripe on Raw.
Well, before you drop your gripes, go down through it and tell us what you liked and stuff like that. And all
Yeah,
that.
well,
Then-
I'll start
then
with
tell
this.
us.
I enjoyed the opener to Raw. I thought it was very good with Paul Heyman and just the reception. They need to bring Roman Reigns back on Raw even more each week. You know, I really enjoyed that. The Dragon Lee and JD McDonough match, fabulous match. I thought it was a great match. Covey and Penta, I enjoyed it. I want to see Penta in a title match, if I'm being honest, a bit more. But yeah, when it comes to Nikki and Becky, we'll talk about that in a separate thing. But Rhea and Roxanne, I really enjoyed. I thought it was a good match. I think they're going to do something with Roxanne eventually, like do a big title match with her down the line. AJ Styles and Finn Balor, loved, great,
Gold.
fantastic.
God.
Should have got
I'm
more
really,
time.
really enjoying the Bailey segments. I have to say, I'm intrigued what they're going to do with her.
The female fiend.
Yeah, it seems like it. And then the Braun Breaker. I love Braun Breaker. That was a good, solid match. Look, the biggest gripe I have, and it pissed me off to no end, is Stephanie Valcour. What the fuck are they actually doing with her? Like, what's Triple H actually doing with her? Because,
What do you mean?
like, in a sense, what I mean is, like, okay, she won the Battle Royal, but you haven't seen much of her after that on Royal.
Well, her world fell apart, didn't it, with Naomi? So they're going to announce the title match for her next week, aren't they?
No, but she's not going to be on Clash on Paris,
Yeah,
and that's what pissed me off.
Yeah, but she's not on Clash because the belt is in limbo and they haven't had time to pivot. They're probably not sure what way they want to go with it at the moment.
But I would have done like a fatal 4-way or something, or like a gauntlet match or something like that.
But Clash is probably already full, and you're probably going to get more stuff coming out of it this Friday.
Yeah, I was just disappointed.
You've got 5 matches booked already, and you're probably going to get one more match or two.
Well,
coming out on Friday.
The ending to Raw, look, I feel it's only a small little gripe, but I kind of feel Triple H plays it safe most weeks with the ending of Raw. To me, it feels, now, if you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it, but I feel like each week is kind of the same old. It's just like an interference each week, where I would like to see if, like, CM Punk was backstage or something and he got hit by a lead pipe or something, and it was a masked man and he went off in a car, and then he was out for the following week then on Raw, and then he comes back the following week, like 2 weeks later, and then he chats to the GM and says, like, have you checked who's hitting me or something like that, or he goes out berserk trying to figure out who's hitting me, like a little cliffhanger or something like that. I just feel like he plays it too safe each week with each Raw, but that's just my opinion. But
this week he ended it with Jey Uso super kicking CM Punk.
Yeah, but I just want to see something different, like backstage. Like it's just a little bit of a cliffhanger. Do you know what they used to do back then?
Well, that was a kind of a cliffhanger. Are we seeing the evolution of Jey Uso? Are we getting the main event part 2 or version 2 or like Matt Hardy version 2 kind of thing? Are we getting something coming out here that it's, are we seeing what we talked about last week about main event Jey Uso? Are we going to see a more serious side to Jey Uso now that's more credible around the title situation?
Yeah.
Well, him and Roman had a talk, and Roman gave him advice earlier on in the show, and I think that's key.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that, Brian. Yeah, good point.
That's key.
Yeah.
Actually, I know we scared it over as well, but Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough. Tops.
Yeah, it's a great match.
Tops.
Great match.
Both of them, unbelievable. Dragon Lee, we say it every week. What a guy. Man of the match.
Solid Raw. I really, other than that, it's a solid Raw. It's a great Raw to watch.
Anyone else? Anything else to add?
Bit of tech issues. I only really noticed it at the start of Dragon Lee and JD McDonough. But it was really laggy, and I thought it was my Wi-Fi, but it turns out that was happening to everybody's Netflix. Yeah, I'm with Keith. I don't think Raw's the worst show, but it seems like the ending is very formulaic. Like it wouldn't kill you to miss a week just because you know it's going to end with either Division or Jey Uso or Roman Reigns or Sami Zayn. It feels like we're in a bit of a vortex.
Well, see, it's laying down. The PLE situation has been laid down much earlier than it's like as if the TV is catching up with what they've laid down for the PLE. So we know where it's going. The path has already been laid. They're just wandering along the path. Now the only dynamic in this is that this week Jey Uso took out CM Punk. So what's that going to mean for the match at Clash? But other than that, all these matches are more or less being laid out. Like if you look at Cena and Logan Paul, it's been there. You know what I mean? Roman and Bronson has been there. The 4-way has been there. So most of the stuff on this PLE, and I assume Becky and Nikki has gone in there because the Naomi thing was obviously a curveball that they were bold that they weren't expecting. Otherwise, it would be Naomi on the card, probably versus Stephanie McCool. And Becky and Nikki probably wouldn't have been on the card. So they've had to pivot. So by pivoting, they've had to put off. They're trying to figure out what the hell do we do with the belt now, because Naomi had such momentum. And now that momentum's gone, and now they're left with Stephanie kind of holding the ball. So how do they do this in such a way that it's still really, really high up and credible? Obviously, we think Stephanie's going to end up with the belt, but who does it come from that makes it that way, that it's still way up there? And I think actually if Stephanie had to face Naomi, I don't think she might have got the belt. And I think it might have been Stephanie versus Naomi in a much kind of longer feud. And they might have made Stephanie chase the belt to make it that bit more credible. I think Sean O spoke about it last week in those terms, and I think that would work.
Would you have stories intertwining together for this Stephanie Valcour match? In a sense, have like Rhea and Io Sky together, and then maybe what's her name? Jeez, I can't remember. Brain fart. But have like all storylines together, and then at least then Stephanie Valcour still wins the title. I thought something like that maybe.
Yeah, well, you see, you can't really because they've already set the pathway there with Rhea and Io and the Kabuki Warriors. So that's already evolving in front of us as it is, and it's obviously going to culminate with Io Sky and Asuka in something big.
And but that's probably does. But would you can't that together though for the title?
Well, I don't know because they've all been around the title already. They're probably looking at it in a different way.
I think that'd be a bit of an overkill.
And when Stephanie gets the belt, they want it to be big and meaningful and, you know, something that we remember. So they don't want to pivot into, okay, let's throw 3 girls in with this girl in a 4-way and we'll give her the belt.
Because I think we'd have an issue with that.
That's what I don't want them to do. I'd rather they waited and thought about this more than suddenly just react and go, fuck, Naomi's gone now because she's pregnant. So now we have to do this or this or quick. Let's take our time and figure out what's the best way to go. And that's better for me. And if it means Stephanie has to wait and sit off Clash in Paris, who cares? So be it. Clash in Paris is not that big a deal in terms of the PLE calendar for WWE. You know what I mean? It's not the be all and end all. And as I said, I don't think Stephanie would have got the belt on it anyway, because I think now Naomi is on such a trajectory at the moment. I think you're going to have to hunt her down over a number of months to have gotten the belt off her.
Yeah, and I also think as well, the bigger picture for Triple H is never really seen. If one thing bad happens in an event, it's focused on very much so. And it's like, well, Triple H is doing this, Triple H is doing that. In reality, Triple H has had uncontrollable, unforeseeable curveballs thrown at him, and he's had to react a lot, and he's under a lot of pressure that way. So to
injuries,
me, we're very, very quick to turn around and say Triple H this and Triple H that. You know, if we put on a weighing scales on balance, what Triple H has given us over the last few years, the positive far outweighs the negative, in my opinion.
No, I agree, Ben. Like, he has had a solid lot of shows over the last couple of weeks to months, even when he's took over. You know, it's just
there's improvements that have to be made. There's no doubt about it. SmackDown, as we agree, needs to, but you're not going to hit a home run every week.
No, 100%.
Listen,
Yeah.
we knew coming out of the bloodline, we knew Cody embarking on his title run, we knew all these things, that there was going to be huge pressure to try and maintain that level. That build towards Cody getting the belt, the final boss, the Rock, Roman, the get-togethers, the influx of Seth Rollins, all this kind of stuff that was going on, CM Punk could come back, all this kind of thing. It was going to be tough to keep that momentum going and to be able to focus on everything being such a huge and a big deal. You know what I mean? And this is what they try to do now. And it must be so difficult, because now they're trying to build Braun. Now they're trying to build, Bronson Reed. Now they're trying to build so much stuff. And they're trying to make it all meaningful while still maintain Jey Uso, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest.
Not a bad problem to have.
You think about it last week on SmackDown. When Damian Priest came out, there was kind of a pause first, because people had nearly forgotten about him a little bit, you know what I mean? And it's like, this is a big deal. Aleister Black has come back from AEW. They've been horrific in what they've done so far. And when I seen this Damian Priest thing, I went, fucking finally. You know what I mean? It's mad.
And
big up
Sheamus
Warren.
Rusev as well.
Big up Warren. Make sure, folks, you're subbing to Warren's Team Talk as well on YouTube. I'm sure you are, Warren. I have it here on the side at the moment. Bren won't be too happy. But it's nightmare stuff, Bren.
So here's a quick last question. What do you think they're going to do with Rusev after this Sheamus feud?
I think that depends on Rusev. I think Rusev has to pull a rabbit out of a hat in this match. The pressure's on Rusev to put on a great match, and I think this is the match that could make him. I think
the vignette they dropped on Raw was very good.
It was excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it solidified him as a fucking absolute killer monster and stuff like that. What I think they need to do, though, is is a camel clutch these days credible?
Have you ever been in a camel clutch?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, every night. No, look, a camel clutch hurts, and it's hard to get out of if it's applied correctly.
No, but if you're a big guy and you're a badass, right, and you're trying to put yourself out there, I'm a fucking destroyer. I don't know whether Braun Breaker putting people in camel clutches delivers what Braun Breaker delivers with a spear. You need some sort of, and I'm not saying a camel clutch doesn't hurt, and I'm not saying, but this is not 1984 in the garden. This is like, this is 2025, and everything has to have high impact and hit like a motherfucker.
So what, like a choke slam like Damian Priest one?
I don't know what it is, or like one of those JBL lariats that turns a guy 360 inside out. Something that's like, I don't know, that you're in the schoolyard, something that's going to absolutely knock you for six in the schoolyard.
I remember, just on that, I remember a clothesline was just a move, but when JBL did a clothesline, he knocked 7 shades of the color of your skin out of you, and it was deadly. Well, I used to find it funny, so I get what you're saying.
Ronnie Garvin used to beat people with a punch to the forehead,
or the DDT by
Hands of Stone. So like, I don't know. I think that's the kind of thing that, like, if I'm in a barroom brawl tonight, my first mindset is not to put someone in a camel clutch.
I don't know.
Well, maybe you could use the Bradshaw's clothesline then. Just take it out of that.
Then, if you're thinking about putting someone in a camel clutch in a bar fight,
I've lost
already eaten 3 bar stools to the mush. So it's not happening.
Well, I can't tip me egg that way. What a sweet shit music is what they're going to get.
Right. Anyone else? Anything else to add on Raw before Keith drops his
But that
stuff
was
to
it.
get off?
That was it.
That was it.
We had what?
What was the other thing? Sorry.
I thought you said you had something. That's all.
Yeah,
Might as well just have Bren talk about Nikki Bella for the next couple minutes.
We have a graphic for you. Get it off your chest. Anything else you want to get off your chest? Is life okay?
Well, that's great, yeah.
I mean, what's your star sign? I want to mess. No, seriously, don't tell us your star sign.
That is a shocking graphic.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it was put together in a.
Now, when you say shocking, do you mean shocking as
tell.
in a fork to the ear shocking, or?
Oh, worse.
As in a Heatwave 98 shocking.
Did it make
No.
you want to throw up?
I mean, someone's
Compact
chest,
gummy
Keith
bears.
with 2 wrestlers, and the man with 1,000 holds.
Well, see, Keith's line is, I have a lot of things to get off my chest. That's what he says.
It was the Stephanie Falcour one that I wanted to get off my chest.
You're not just cut off his head and put it on CM Punk.
I think
I could if I had the time. I put this together 10 minutes before the
Sorry,
show.
Niall, I didn't know.
That's reasonable. Sorry about that.
I think what we need to touch on
Never
now
mind.
is I'd like to touch on the
Have we spoke about this enough, or do we want to talk about it?
I think we have to talk. Well, first of all, we're doing a watch along this Sunday. I believe the start time is 7 o'clock. I think. If
Yeah,
not
start
8
time
o'clock.
7 o'clock for the show, but we'll probably be on from about 6:30ish, I'd say.
We'll be on from about that time, and I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to maybe. We're too short for time. We've 2 things to touch on. Do we want to give quick predictions?
Will we not give them before the show on the watch along when we're on at 6:30?
That's precisely what we'll do.
So if you want to
like-
see our predictions and join us on the watch along, you need to hit that bell notification, subscribe, and drop a like on the video.
Leaving them on a cliffhanger.
That's
You'll
it.
be a man down.
They're
be-
desperate to
Why?
know.
I will be working.
You text me the number of your job. I'll get that sorted for you, Sean. You will not be working, okay?
I
can
knew
we
I
touch on-
liked you.
Bring in with a bomb threat.
a few people online today on the TikTok machine were talking about the Becky Lynch thing. Can we touch on that for a sec? Because
we're going to be touching on everything.
let's touch on the Becky Lynch thing, because the reaction to this pissed me off a little bit. Look, I get the sensitivity. I get we're talking about a family man, but holding Becky and demanding Becky's head for this is like demanding Christopher Waltz apologize for his role in Inglourious Bastards, where he played a really, really evil man. This is a television show where there was a line thrown out there that people have latched onto, which I made a bit of a list here. There, my writing's cack. I'm just going to go through a few things very quickly because I know we're short on time. Christopher Waltz.
You take your time. There's no rush.
Right. We mentioned Jerry Lawler earlier on. There's a whole catalogue there for Jerry Lawler to get pissed off about. 2 words. Katie
And we
Vick.
do. And we do.
2 words. Katie Vick.
And we do.
3 letters. HLA.
And
Choppy
we do.
choppy your PP. If you don't know what that is, look it up.
If you're not,
We didn't. Any Page fans in here today? Any Saraya fans?
We're
Any
all
Paige
Page fans.
yeah, I like
Yes.
her. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Right, if we're going to hold Becky accountable for that, let's hold Paige accountable for what she said about Reid Flair. After Reid Flair died, shortly after, she said he didn't have enough fight in him, right? So, and I'm nearly finished here. Sorry about this.
She also apologized.
Well, I didn't see that, and that's fair enough. I'll take that off my list. Live sex show shouldn't have happened. JR Bell's palsy situation mocked in WCW. Ric Flair to Natty. Just go and die. That's what he said. And the last thing I'll say is, just very quick, Vince McMahon. Just look it up. And I know he's been held accountable to a degree, but that's for one thing. The amount of stuff, where's the bar? Why are we holding Becky accountable? And I go back to my example about holding every film villain accountable for following through, doing the lines, because there's been much worse villains and much worse lines in films than that.
See, Bren, the thing about this is this would have been all right 30, 40 years ago, because nowadays people are so soft that they literally cling on to anything that someone says.
Well, look,
I
first of all, big up to Universal. He's back. Who is
So not me this time, I
Keith.
promise you.
Welcome Universal. He's back with a bang.
Yes.
Those TKO producers were invited for Will. Absolutely.
Oh, I love that.
There we go.
What were you going to say, Niall? Sorry.
What I wanted to say, first of all, was Ozzy Osbourne, universally loved, megastar, massive, iconic, WWE Hall of Famer that people haven't spoken about in the last 2 days or 3 days. Left his impression on WWE and everything else. We did the shows, myself and Sean, we were all on when he passed away and all this kind of stuff.
Very sad.
This just felt, and to excuse the pun, this felt a little bit raw. And I don't mean that in the sense of laughy or anything like that. I just think it was a little bit too soon to be going there. And I think if that's where you need to go, you know, and I love Becky. I love Becky. There's no
Whatever
issue
you
here.
whatever you
But
think about
I just think that was a step too far. And this is the conversation on the left that's there. It's the conversation that's come out in the last day or so, being reported, I think, by the Wrestling Observer and stuff like that. And I get it in pro wrestling. Sometimes there's a certain line and they cross it, you know. But this one the other night kind of felt,
do you think
that's just a little bit close to home.
And look, I said at the start, I get the family side of it. Kelly Osbourne herself has said some terrible things about people that she hasn't apologized for. She apologized for one thing because she was caught out. But I get what you're saying. However, to demand an apology from the actress / wrestler that delivered the line is insanity. She is a heel. She is a bad guy. That's what she does.
But that means absolutely nothing to someone who isn't a pro wrestling fan or in the pro wrestling business.
Yeah.
That means absolutely nothing.
But anybody who isn't a fan or in the business, what do they all say to us? What's 9 times out of 10? I always hear it. You know that's fake, right? You hear that? Fine, fair enough. Okay, it's like walking into a cinema and saying, "By the way, this film is pre-produced." The point I'm trying to get at is, it's not Rebecca Quinn that said the line. It's Becky Lynch, the character.
But it's not Rebecca Quinn who's being asked for an apology.
It was. People are looking
No,
at well.
it's not Becky Lynch.
But she didn't. She actually responded to that.
Did she apologize?
No.
I don't think she should either, to be honest.
No,
and I get
what I'm saying is, if you're in the wrestling circle or you're in the wrestling bubble, I get it. Or you're a wrestling fan, I understand that, and I get it. But like, you're talking about a family here who's probably still grieving and mourning over the loss of their father. I mean, he's only gone a few weeks.
Again,
you know what I mean? And like, if you're sitting on the outside, I don't know. I honestly don't know if Kelly Osbourne knows what a heel or a face is. And I don't know if Kelly Osbourne understands that line between wrestling and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a huge fan of Ozzy Osbourne, as in most of us here on this are. And we were visibly upset when he passed away. And it hit us. And it hit us because of music. It hit us because of the legacy. It hit us because of that last concert and how it went down and the money that was generated and donated and all that kind of stuff. And it was really, 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 really tough. And, you know, and as Kenny says there, Ozzy may have loved that promo from Becky. He may have. But loving something when you're alive and your family dealing with something when you're dead are two very different things. And listen, I'm a pro wrestling fan and I get it. I get the storylines that have gone out there. I get the lines that DX have crossed at times. I get the lines during the WCW and the Monday Night Wars and, you know, everyone, you know, absolutely ripping into everyone else and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But, you know, if you're in a wrestling ring pulling a heel promo, is it all right to drop a Benoit line?
Maybe.
Would that sit all right with you? And you chalk it down, you go, sure, it's just a pro wrestling promo.
Massive difference between those two.
There is a massive difference, but I'm just saying, I'm just making the point. We do have to try and find a line somewhere.
Yeah.
And I just think if she had done this in 5 years' time, I don't think I would have any major issue with it at all.
But this has been the main, from my point of view, this has been the main vocal point of most of the wrestling fans online, from my point of view. And there was an attempted murder. I'm being a bit dramatic there, but a wrestler nearly got killed in the middle of a ring, and that almost got sidebarred because they wanted Becky Lynch's head. That's mental. That should not have happened. It is the character that said it. And I get what you're saying. I totally understand. Where is the line? The line for you, Niall, is different than the line for me. It's different than the line for Sean and Keith. It is different. But this is what we do. We pick up the remote. We tune into wrestling. And if you're offended by it, okay, cool. Either don't tune in or just put it behind you. It's entertaining. Well, depending on how you see it, it's a heel delivering a heel line. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
Kelly
part.
kind of missed the point.
That's the part in it that I paused on. That's the part in it that I paused on. Listen, I was all well and good with the Birmingham City. I was all well and good with the Aston Villa. I was all well and good with it's still the same shithole that it was when I had my tryout. I get all that kind of stuff, and you drop all that. The way to deliver that, I mean, this is trying to get that Jericho heel heat. We spoke about it in the WhatsApp group. That real heel heat that when you walk out of a stadium, fans are nearly spitting in your face. And I get that. But I don't know. This one just, you know,
I don't
and
think you'd ever say that in real life. Do you know, that's the one thing.
No,
Well, look,
absolutely not. But this
Nobody
is if
would.
if people see this on telly or people see this reported to them, I think to those people, this feels like real life. To us, we can separate that and go, yeah, this is a heel promo. Yeah, it's this. Yeah, it's that. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not looking for Becky's head. I'm not looking for Becky to make an apology. I'm not looking for that. I get it and I understand it, but I have to also see it from Kelly Osbourne's side. And yes, Kelly Osbourne and Jack and, you know, Sharon, they've all said things and done things and all that kind of stuff. And I get that.
Sure.
I'm not denying that either. But I'm looking at this from the side of a daughter who's heartbroken because she's lost her father only a few weeks ago, who happens to be a WWE Hall of Famer as well, if nothing else. I think that has to come with a level of respect. You know what I mean? Like if Becky Lynch was doing a show on Monday night in Tampa, I wouldn't expect her to shit all over Hulk Hogan.
Well,
and see, there's such a difference there because you look at it from a fan's point of view. Ozzy Osbourne, as we said, was a WWE Hall of Famer. Kelly Osbourne, Ozzy was her father, so obviously she's going to take something like that personally, and that's true. That's not to say that, you know, she shouldn't take it personally as it's only a heel promo, but as you said, Niall, we have to find that kind of line. There's no way of seeing that line and knowing where it is, but we kind of just have to guess where it is nearly, you know.
I think it's a good topic to discuss to give more time down the line. Not just this, but where is the line? Where do we where do we bring the line? We can talk about different scenarios because I completely understand your perspective. Niall and A Meister said it in the chat as well. I completely understand the perspective from A Meister. I too am a fan of old school. For me, it was the uproar that I just don't think it justified it. That was it. Again, I wasn't too offended by it, but
it was delivered to create that uproar. It wasn't delivered to be bloused over and not even spoken about.
Well, look,
it was delivered to create that wave, and it created that wave. It's just that wave didn't necessarily sit well with people.
It was too cancel culture-ish for my liking. That's just my take on it. And look, Universal said it there. He said, "I don't know what you're talking about, but if you're talking about whatever you're talking about, whatever she did worked." And to your point that you just said, but yeah, I just think agree to disagree.
I just think, Brent, this wouldn't have been a big, massive issue 30, 40 years ago when wrestling was taken seriously.
No, probably not.
Would it be an issue now, though? That's the thing. You have to look at it from kind of both sides, nearly three sides. You look at Becky's side, you look at Kelly's side, and you look at our side. Is it a big deal, or is everyone kind of, you know, adding to it and blowing it out of proportion? And that's not me saying that should be.
The biggest Ozzy Osbourne fan on the panel is Sean Mack. Sean Mack, what did you think?
I don't know. I'd be up there as well.
Me and Keith, yeah.
Yeah.
Neck and neck. Look, I'm a bit conflicted about this. There's nothing I hate more than when people, whether that be actors or the people behind wrestlers, get shit for saying lines that they've been told to say and they've been written out. And Ozzy did have a really dark sense of humor. So if he was alive, he'd probably piss himself. But as Niall said, him being here, or him would have been being here, and him now being dead just over a month, and his family now being subject to this is different. But I think it's kind of jarring. Well, because of the context, taking the piss out of Ozzy Osbourne just died, but also Becky's never really done promos that personal. Like Christian, everyone always says, well, how come Christian Cage can say, your father's dead? That's because that was a shock and he kept leaning into it. So that became his gimmick. So you'd expect him to go that low. I don't recall Becky ever going that low before. I think she would have got the same heat if she just said, oh, at least Ozzy Osbourne moved. Or she just said, man, this place is terrible. Or, man, your football teams are shit. Or whatever. JD McDonough put on a Liverpool jersey in
Newcastle.
Where was it? In Newcastle. Look at the booze he got. And no one is going there going, man, what a disgrace. He should apologize. Shame on him. They're like,
and
he's
Tim
just
Barr
trying to
put the
piss
Spurs jersey on as well.
And
but
it's
isn't that the clever way of knowing how to drum up that heel heat? Like, if you think about it, and where this is a problem for me as well, when Ozzy passed away, you look at the reception he got in WWE and the send-off they gave him and all that kind of stuff, and the video package they put together of how important he was to pro wrestling right back from the beginning, all the way through in WWE and stuff like that, and how his footprint, this is what they spoke about, didn't they? His footprint is left right in there in pro wrestling all the way through.
And the other thing,
and that's kind of what bothered me a little bit. And I think if you have to go, I think there's easier ways to garner that Jericho heat without having to go there.
Becky said in Dublin, we don't deserve TV, and we booed her out of the place. Yeah. Right? If she just said, this is a terrible city, or man, Ozzy Osbourne was smart enough to move, or something like that, then we would have been booing her, and we would have said, man, she's doing a really good job working up this crowd and getting the crowd behind Nikki Bella, because a good babyface is only as good as a good heel.
But also as well, Ozzy helped WrestleMania. Was it WrestleMania 2 as well? He actually helped WrestleMania as well in a long way.
Absolutely. And do you remember Survivor Series?
Apologize to the Irish for saying we shouldn't have tellies.
I know.
That's
wouldn't have tellies. No, I think Kelly Osbourne should apologize because you can see she's actually tagged a Becky Lynch fan page. Not actually Becky Lynch.
It wasn't until Niall said it there. I was like, bollocks.
So I can just imagine that poor girl running the Becky Lynch fan page is getting death threats, bomb threats, abuse,
from
and all
Kelly
this.
Hopefully
millions of followers.
I hope not. But look, as it says, WB has done worse and haven't apologized. So I don't know. But it did feel little. Well, as I said, like a few years if it passed, yeah, sure. But he's not even dead. He's been dead just over a month.
It's the fact that they ran that promo on that show about everything he did in WWE and the music and the attachment to it right from the beginning. As Universe said with the Bulldogs and all that kind of stuff, he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. He couldn't even have a proper Hall of Fame because it was during COVID or the lockdown or whatever it is, and all these different things and stuff like that. And that the passed away he did after delivering that concert and generating so much money for those charities and everything else that he did. And his body isn't even cold in the ground. No. And this is
how did people feel a few weeks after Eddie died when they did the feud with Randy and Ray, and Randy told him Eddie's burning in hell?
Or CM Punk.
And what about CM Punk Paul Bear? And what about the lunchtime suicides? Remember that segment where Tim White would kill himself and like humorous, creative. Like, in fairness, I think it got kind of comedic dark, like the way Kenny Always Died in South Park did. But that only aired a couple of weeks after Eddie died, and that was shat on. So I don't see why. I just think Becky has gotten more heat. She's got less heat saying worse.
It'd be interesting to see how she comes out on Raw next week, though.
Apologize for absolutely nothing, probably. And then he gets promoted.
Great show.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is a conversational piece. This is not about I'm certainly not looking. Look, everyone knows my situation with Becky and stuff like that. I'm not looking for Becky to make any apology and stuff like that. I think what should be looked at is here. I think there should be just slightly more sense checking. We want people to come across as being themselves and then not being scripted. And we want people to want to put stuff in their own words and all that kind of stuff. So it's not robotic and all that kind of stuff. But they just need to be. Some of these things you just need to be so careful about. So careful about, you know what I mean? Because there is, and it's not only the family. There's a lot of music fans. There's a lot of people out there that are still in mourning about this. Ozzy Osbourne was a huge part of people's lives. Black Sabbath, everything else was a huge part of people's lives, and now it's gone, and it's remembered through fond memories and various other stuff and all. Someone needs to turn off that riser. Sean, are you getting feedback there? Or?
Who's the
Sorry, I'm chewing gum. That might be me.
No, it's you're getting feedback off someone's mic or something there. Or something. It's gone now anyway.
I thought the Beastie Boys are coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but
Right,
I
listen.
agree with you, Niall. Anyway, what you're saying. No.
Yeah, and it's not. And look, people know I'm not one of these woke guys either. You know what I mean? There's room for these kind of things and stuff and all to a certain
Like I got to meet Ozzy years and years ago, about 2009, in Stephen's Green, and it was like so emotional meeting him, you know. And I got to see him live then a few years later, so it's a big deal, like, you know.
Yeah. Right.
You'd feel bad for that poor fan though, just waking up the next morning to, Kelly Osbourne tagged you in her story.
And she's now 50 million new followers. I'm sure
Sean,
it's simple.
is that a dollar sign?
Sean,
yes. Is that a dollar sign? It is, isn't it?
A dollar sign? Where?
At the front of Sean's name. I see. I had to go up.
Oh, me? Sorry.
No, Sean Mack, you're fine. Sean Orr has a dollar sign as an S. I just had to ask. I was like, am I losing it? Are my eyes losing it? Or is Big Money Sean Orr is on the chat?
There you go. Universal. All celebrities, wrestlers as well will do whatever they have to do to be and stay in the spotlight again. Someone's mic is giving terrible feedback there.
I think it's yours, Niall. So, no, it might not be.
No, it's fine, isn't it?
Let me hold on.
Just figure out who it is, because the feedback is unreal. It's definitely not me anyway, because I muted mine. That's still going.
Not me.
But look, what's he saying? All celebrities want to stay in the spotlight, and just like wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, and you have to find your way, and we've seen it with Jericho for years and stuff like that and all, trying to garner that real heel heat where they want to wait outside the stadium and beat the living piss out of you, and we get that. We understand that. But I just think with this one, I think if it's 5 years' time, I don't see an issue with it. I just thought it was a little bit too early. And as Kenny said in the comments as well, it wasn't so much a lot of what she said. It was just kind of that last line, I would die too kind of thing, you know, kind of like it just didn't sound great. Right, let's get on to this one. Got to talk about this guy as well, Raja Jackson, who went on a mad one. This is Rampage's statement and stuff like that. We kind of felt like a little bit of, you know, I get a lot of it and stuff like that. Felt like a father covering for a son. I don't know where Mark Henry was coming from. This guy absolutely bet the piss out of a guy in the ring. Now, I know there was a before and all that stuff, and apparently before the match it was trashed out and all this kind of thing and all. But the way this guy hit the ring and unloaded, this is a loose cannon waiting to happen. I mean, if that other guy hadn't jumped in and stopped this guy would probably be dead. Thoughts? Whoever wants to take it.
Little shite cunt, and it's only when this happens makes me miss people like New Jack. Now, I didn't watch the stream because I'm not a loser, but I saw clips of the stream. So he's watching the show at ringside, and he's talking to his chat and interacting quite like we're doing now, Niall. You know, interacting with our chat, talking about our stuff, reading, and he's literally telling people that he's going to go in and beat them up.
Yeah.
And what happened backstage is, like, he's doing the IRL thing, and this guy, Psycho Stu, hit him in the head with a gimmick can because he thought he was like a wrestler, some part of the show. And obviously, the IRL streams, you want something big to happen. You know, Speed was doing an IRL stream. We entered the Rumble. So obviously, him being in the Rumble and getting killed by Braun Breaker was something you want to happen. So he did that. And then he found out that he wasn't a worker, as in, like, he wasn't on the show. So he apologized. They made up. They hugged it out. It seemed like everything was okay. And then some wrestler, I can't remember his name, told Raja Jackson to get a receipt. Which a receipt is when you get hit with something accidentally, you give someone a little thump back. A big good example of it is a
reminder.
Yeah, Royal Rumble 2018. Yeah,
but he never actually told him what receipt was or what a receipt is. That's the thing.
No, the Undertaker used the whole card to make people cry and bully them. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, absolutely.
But go ahead.
But
Hot
then,
take.
but he tells him to get the receipt. So during the show, he's telling the crowd what he's going to do. Then in the middle of the match, he hits like a shoot Alabama slam on this Psycho Stu guy. He's out cold, and he hits him with, I must say, 20 very real, very legitimate punches to the face while he's unconscious. There's a referee in there who does absolutely nothing. Eventually, some guy goes in there and pulls him off, but like not much luck. He still manages to get one more shot. I would say there's a thing about wrestling with trust, but that would assume this guy's a wrestler, and he's not. He's an MMA fighter who's lost one fight, and Psycho Stu actually is a US veteran who took on pro wrestling as a way to counter his PTSD. So that's a man who has fought for his country. I don't know like where he fought or how long he fought for, or like any achievements or anything, but he contributed somehow to Americans having a free life where they can live in safety and tranquility. And this little scumbag who's achieved nothing in his life other than being the child of Rampage Jackson, an IRL streamer. That's a very nice way of saying unemployed. By the way, if you just put unemployed on your CV, I'd be like, that's a bit more glamorous than being an IRL streamer. Almost killed this guy.
Yeah.
And he was going and going. And I'm telling you now, if the guy that got in the ring and pulled him off didn't pull him off, I don't think he would have stopped. He would be dead. And this would be a much more serious issue. And I am very, very surprised and disappointed to see Mark Henry, but not only Mark Henry, Chael Sonnen and Rob Van Dam have also both come out in support of Raja Jackson.
Silly statements.
Yeah. Thankfully, I've heard that Psycho Stu's okay. In fact, a GoFundMe's actually been raised for him for medical expenses. I checked it just before I went on. He's hit 76% of the target. And a couple of wrestlers, including Chris Jericho, donated a significant amount of money. I think Jericho gave
He got brain damage, like, do you know? Anything?
Yeah.
Well, he could have been killed. This guy should
be...
Raja should be done for attempted murder. His little fragile ego got hurt. And he got in the ring and he acted the prick. This guy deserves jail time and he should be tried for attempted murder. And you could see him as well. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill him." There's a video, like I think Niall, we were talking about it the other day, and you were saying that, like, I mean, this goes to court. Does like you can see everything leading up to has been recorded.
And the worst thing is
after it,
yeah. And if you see nothing but him getting in and beating him up, and you don't know the context, it's an IRL stream, so the whole thing is shown. Him coming into the venue, him talking to wrestlers, him sitting and watching the show. Before he goes in, he literally is explicitly saying what he's going to do.
It's all premeditated.
And genuinely, I wish him nothing but the absolute worst fortunes and health. I hope he spends the rest of his life in prison. And I hope that Psycho Stu can make a full recovery.
Do you know what shocked me as well? At the end of it, a guy jumps on him, hooks the leg, and the ref counts 3.
Oh, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
Do you think
the ref knew maybe that this was? But then again, surely the ref should have seen the punches actually landing and saying maybe just loosen up.
There you go. Universal just spoke about him, man. Just spoke about spot on. It was insane. It was insane. Yeah. It was that New Jack Gypsy Joe moment, wasn't it? It was that just when you've just absolutely lost it.
But that Jackson guy should be nowhere near any wrestling event ever again. Doesn't matter what it is.
He should be in prison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we will keep an eye and see what evolves from it and stuff like that.
I would love for him to face New Jack. Can you imagine him just getting his phone and his watch stapled to his head?
The one thing he has taken from the dad is that good pickup slam, a la Pride FC.
Or Sabu if he was still alive.
Because literally, apart from the punches, the slam nearly knocked him out.
The slam did knock him out.
Well, Universal reckons nothing will happen. I did hear that the police are looking into it as a serious matter. You know what the American police are like. Netflix is the worst thing to happen to the American police. It'll
depend on the wrestler what he wants to do. He might end up with a few quid in his bank account and he might want to do that. Who knows?
We're gonna have to edit that bit out because I want to get into America in the future. Sorry.
Because we had Rampage Jackson talking about how he was saving up a load of money on the side because he knows he's gonna need bail money for this one. So he knows himself this guy's out there.
Yeah.
That's an indicator. Stick a straitjacket on this lad. If that's the
UFC is
case.
interested in him.
Please feed him Hamzat Chimaev and bring John
Wow.
Jones out of retirement and do a catch weight bout of
Controversy.
not even catch weight, just
Controversy
know.
creates cash.
I don't
Eric
even.
Bischoff's book.
I don't even know if Dana's that insane. To be honest, it's the type of guy that come out of the octagon and grab Dana and start beating the piss out of him. Who knows?
put him in power
Let's
slap.
do this quick one
him
here.
he
First
goes.
of all, Sean, you wanted to discuss this, the belt collector.
Right, this will be Sean's hot take for tonight. I love Mercedes Moné. We know this. I talk about it week in, week out. But even I can't defend this shit. Like 9 belts. Brent's shocked that I'm saying this right now.
I'm happy.
Even I can't defend this. She should look. The TBS championship was perfect. Her getting that. That's all and well. That's fine. Rev Pro titles, I can understand. Anything past the 2 Rev Pro titles and the TBS title, I can't defend. Like what's she's now won titles in England, Mexico, Scotland, Japan.
But it means nothing.
Those titles mean nothing. Like that Destiny women's title, like, or the PTW or PW or whatever it's called. Like, who has heard of those companies and I don't mean that to be an asshole or anything, but who's heard of those companies besides the fact when the Post has went up to say, oh, Mercedes Moné has won our title, or the Destiny women's title or whatever, other than that, like what is it?
Sean, some of those belts look like they were bought in Tuhills and deals.
Well,
do you know what? They look like eBay titles.
But regardless of how the actual belt looks, it's not unusual for independent companies to put their title on someone out there who's a level up or a star or whatever it is. To gain credibility or bring attention to the title and the promotion. It's not unusual. It's been done before, especially on the men's side and stuff like that.
Niall, I don't even think it's there.
What?
Just last year, Danhausen won the GN title or the NLW title,
NLW,
NOTT.
Yeah.
That was just for a night, but still, like.
Yeah.
Kenny Noble has hit the nail on the head there. Absolutely. See, that Winged Eagle belt behind me is worth more than any of those belts that she has there. Niall, you've got belts in your house that eclipse the value of.
Well, see, the thing about it is, in this situation, yes, but some of these belts that she's attained, they'll have a bit of heritage and lineage to them.
Oh yeah,
and you can't discard that just because, like, if you're the owner of a promotion and you're bringing in Mercedes Moné, and you're probably paying her a fortune. Let's be honest here; it ain't going to be cheap. You might feel that that's the right thing to do, to put your belt on her, so she brings that belt around with her, and your belt is represented on other different promotions around the world. Now, the chances are the belts that she's carrying around may not be the actual belt. That's probably still sitting with the promotion. That might be the belt that she ends up keeping for her wall or whatever. But I could see why people do it, even though we don't necessarily agree with it. We don't want someone, like, we seen Austin Aries going about this a while back and stuff like that, and it felt a little bit weird as well. And we've seen it with Kenny Omega as well, and we've seen it with a number of people and stuff like that. But I can fully see, if you're the owner of an independent wrestling company, wanting your belt and your promotion to get exposure on a bigger scale, a bigger audience, maybe even coming down. Like how many times have we turned around and said, isn't it awesome when the TNA talent comes out on the Royal Rumble or whatever it is, and they're wearing the TNA belt? And it looks really cool because it's been represented in WWE. We've seen it with Joe Hendry when he came out at WrestleMania, how cool it looked, and all these different things and stuff like that. So done the right way, it can be a very powerful and a very good thing to do. I think in this case, just collecting for the sake of collecting, I don't think it works. But I think if you're a casual fan, and if you're a fan of Mercedes Moné, you're probably looking and going, okay, she just
Oh my
won,
God.
say, the Discovery belt or whatever it is, and you'll go, okay, what is Discovery? And if you're a fan, and like a lot of us here, we're not fans of this, but if you are a fan, it might lead you to go and look at Discovery as a promotion or whatever it is as a promotion or Stardom and go, okay, who's in there? What's it like? What's the credibility of it? Why would they put the belt on her? Who could she potentially face next? All that kind of thing. It's a different kind of thing. Now,
No,
if
you're
you're
a
just not but if you're just not a Mercedes Moné fan or a Sasha Banks fan, then you're just gonna go, you're gonna get a big shovel of shit, throw it over the wall on top of it and go, not from me. And that's fine, and I get that.
Yeah.
But if you are a fan like Sean and you don't know, and if you're not a fan of the independent circuit and some of these different promotions and you don't know what they're about, it may drive you towards their socials to see what they are about. And that's
It's
only
bad financial
exposure. But
advice,
then
though,
it
Niall.
works.
And I
But
have looked at all these promotions.
It's not good business.
But it's not bad financial advice because, first of all, you can be guaranteed if you're an independent promotion and you're bringing Mercedes Moné to do a match,
which is expensive.
You can be guaranteed the stipulation of that is she ain't losing.
Yeah.
Cool. So she wins your belt, and the money you've spent to bring her over is the money you're going to spend either more, less bringing her back.
Not necessarily, because sometimes they get them to just vacate the belts and stuff like that. They don't necessarily come back and defend them. But what you could be gaining from that is you could gain a couple of millions. You could gain a couple of million followers. How much is that going to cost you?
Best for business.
Best for business. This is a woman that puts herself on her own Mount Rushmore.
No, but if you're taking, if you're
looking at it from a business point of view,
if
like
you're
the
guy who owns the independent promotion, that's a very different look from the guy sitting in the seat watching the show. He's thinking, how do I get the most exposure for my promotion?
Yeah.
And the most exposure you get is by you taking someone who potentially is the hot ticket, either by good or bad news, whatever way you want to look at it, because people talk about her. Let's not get it twisted. Whether we like her or we don't like her, they talk about her.
Yeah.
Can we just highlight Universal's comment though? And again, Niall, it's not discounting from what you said. Fair enough. I kind of get where you're coming from a business perspective, and that's a good perspective. But if what Universal said there is true, it's the last comment. Let me share another selfish fact. She has refused to lose the TBS title until she breaks Jade's record. If that's true, and I'm a promoter and I hear about that, I'm not touching her with a 10-foot barge pole. And let's call it here. She's left WWE.
But that TBS title is locked in. That's AEW. She's contracted there. That's Tony Khan's fault. That's not her fault.
Fair enough, but this is the individual that we're dealing with. I mean, she nearly derailed Naomi's career by getting in her ear. She also took the pin off Tony Storm.
Yeah.
So
is a lot of this true?
I don't know, and that's why I said if it is true, that's and that's to be fair, it's rumor and innuendo. I
just don't think she's a big star. The way she's made out to be.
Give her a microphone. You can't give that woman a microphone.
No, I would have.
You can say that for any wrestler in the business. It just depends on your opinion and who you like.
But Sean, I think Tony Storm's a bigger star than her.
Tony Storm is one of the best wrestlers in the company.
Yeah, but
would you have said that before Tony Storm's big change to Tony?
Yes,
I would have.
I've always been a big fan. I was a fan of Tony. No, what were you going to say there?
Well, Universal, that's not correct. It doesn't hurt the promotion. It actually helps the promotion, and we've seen it time and time again. We've seen it even with OTT at times doing it. If you can generate that flows down into your website hits, your social hits, whatever it is, that people tune in. If you have an on-demand service and people sign up to that and they want to see what your promotion is about, it doesn't hurt your promotion. It gives your promotion that marketing that you cannot buy.
Yes. Love it or hate it.
And it doesn't matter, as I said, it doesn't matter whether you like the design of the belt. It doesn't matter what the belt stands for. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that your promotion is getting exposure, and that whether she comes back to defend the belt or not doesn't really matter, because what's happened is you've had her on your shows. People know she's on your shows, so people are now coming because people now think she will be back to defend the belt. That's the difference. Whether she does it or not is irrelevant, because we've seen millions of these belts. We've seen it with IWW back in the day. Drew McIntyre was the champion. He ended up vacating the belt because he didn't come back over to defend it, because he ended up heading off to WWE.
Still haven't gotten over that. Thanks for bringing that up.
But it works. It works.
It does.
We've seen it time and time again. Are you telling me if there's a chance for you, if you own an independent promotion and there's a chance for you to put a belt on Finn Balor or AJ Styles or whatever it is, you're not going to do it? Of course you're going to
take it.
So that's a different question. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a different question.
It's
the same thing in terms of the business end of it. It's the same thing in terms of the face and the look, and whether you like it or don't like it, it's very different. But not in terms of the business end of it.
I get what you're saying, but I have to and look. I think this is one of the cases where my personal opinion is going to cloud my maybe my better judgment. I don't think I'd touch Sasha Banks with a 20-foot barge pole if I had a promotion. And that's Brent sitting here, who doesn't own a promotion, who's never ran a business.
No,
right?
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Believe it or not, I've actually looked, and this is just from what I've seen, and I know this doesn't really matter, but I've looked on Rev Pro's YouTube channel and their social media, and believe it or not, actually a lot of their views are on Mercedes Moné videos and clips, and that ties in to the business end of things, because you're bringing her in as the main attraction. You're having her win your main title in exchange for, let's say, views, more business, more fans attending the show, more eyes. And that is
you're raising the profile of the promotion.
You are. And that's exactly what it's doing. And that's the line that separates personal opinion and business.
Universal, I get what you're saying. The problem is most independent promotions can't afford to bring her back once a month.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they let the storyline fester and they let the narrative go out there for a while, and then you'll find that the belt will be dropped for one reason or another. And then they move on from it. But they've got the hit, and they have people who've signed up to their on-demand. And then they bring in the next person. It could be Tony Storm. It could be Athena. It could be Jordan Grace. It could be anything, whoever it is. And then they move in this way. That's how they move all the time. Look at OTT. OTT had a foundation built on Irish wrestlers, but in order to grow, it had to bring in the Bucks. It had to bring in the Elite. I had to bring in Cody Rhodes. I had to bring in John Moxley. I had to bring in all these different guys to help grow it and get that exposure that it needed to get to where it needed to be. And we've seen it firsthand. I've seen it. I've watched Finn Balor show up in the Tivoli Theatre to the biggest popping ovation you've ever seen, to garner interest and all that stuff. The guy didn't even wrestle because he was injured.
The Judgment Day, when they were advertised,
you know what I mean? The Judgment Day came in, and the tag, like we see this time and time again.
And that's what I think. I think now, Brian, this isn't aimed at you. This is just aimed at the wrestling community in general. Like you look at
me far away. Come
on. No, you look at it. This has been done several times before, so I think that
it's a
little bit forced. I think
I get what you're saying.
A lot of people are letting their judgment over Mercedes Moné kind of take effect over it and be like, oh, she has 9 belts now. I'm so sick of this. But you look back and it's been done with other wrestlers, and when it's done with other wrestlers, oh, it's completely fine. But with Mercedes Moné, it's like, no, she doesn't deserve it. We don't want this, blah, blah, blah.
Lads, this is why I love wrestling, because we all have different point of views on this. We all had different point of views on the Becky thing. And Niall has said it before. This is why I love the wrestling community. We can come in here and we can say absolute balls. Then Sean and Niall can hit me with logic. And it's like, damn it, they could be right. They probably are. But I'm still going to let my opinion rule what I think about the situation. But what you are saying is fair enough. And that's why I love doing this. It's, you know what? I've genuinely really enjoyed this.
Well, think about it this way, right? If in 6 months' time that's Karrion Kross, no one's giving out about it. If Karrion Kross is walking around with a Ring of Honor title and a New Japan title and an OTT title and a Rev Pro title and an ICW title and whatever else you want title, no one's complaining about it. No one's giving out. No one's saying, look at this belt collector.
So hang on, are you saying now that people are only complaining because of who it is? Because I can tell you now,
Yes.
I'd be pissed off if Karrion Kross did that. Because I was pissed off.
Well, that's only because
personal
you've come
opinion.
around to my way of thinking in terms of Karrion Kross. If that's AJ Styles, then say no one's complaining about it.
You'd love it.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Bubba Ray.
Oh my God.
Case closed. Case closed. We can all go home now. We'll sleep tonight, lads. The court has ruled in everybody's favor. Mightn't be Bren's best day, but that's the best part of pro wrestling.
And I thought of you when he was on the Undertaker podcast.
My ego's been kicked around for the last 5 minutes, and I don't like this.
So, what do you want to talk about?
I don't.
It
Listen,
doesn't matter what he wants to talk about.
it's been 2 hours and 5 minutes.
It doesn't
And I don't-
matter what you want to talk about.
You're opening a can of worms that I don't think anybody wants to open right now because they're topics in themselves.
We should start a podcast calling Talking Shit with Sean. So we should. Let's just be
Which
honest.
Sean? Cash Money Sean or Return of the Mac Sean?
Talking shit with the Seans. There you go.
Oh,
Talking shit with Sean.
We usually get told to
Alright.
talk shite anyway, so it could work.
Right. I've a little bit of history and notable birthdays. I'm not going to go through a lot of the history, but one stuck out. A lot of it is SummerSlam, because SummerSlam is normally later in August, so there's no point in reliving it. We know most of it. But there's one that stuck out to me that I did want to mention. 1989, the second ever SummerSlam main event took place in New Jersey. In the main event, Macho Man Randy Savage and his partner Zeus were defeated by Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And I read that and I thought, that's so sad that 3 out of the 4 are gone. It was very, very sad, you know what I mean? And, you know, big up to Zeus and Macho Man and Hogan and all, and Brutus still alive, of course.
That's a rotten main event for SummerSlam.
It is, but the
We got
backdrop
that
was,
today at the
yeah, but
Fuming.
we did no holds barred backdrop and all
It's
that
that
kind of
the
stuff.
most
Yeah.
of on really is in a sense.
I've got a beautiful
I suppose
mix.
Zeus was a movie star just like Jelly Roll was this year.
He was.
Not
I
a
was
movie
supposed.
star,
I
but
was supposed to meet him. And he passed away. I was supposed to meet him. I had booked to meet him during, and then COVID hit, and I didn't get to meet him. And I actually have a custom pop I got made of him in Friday in the flannel shirt.
Ah,
And I was going to get it signed, and I never got to get it signed because he passed away.
What a movie.
bollocks.
Right, notable birthdays. Can't forget 1981. The man who put Bray on the wrestling map, Finn Balor. Happy birthday. 1981, Mr. Little Petey Pump, Petey Williams. Also, 1981 was a good year for wrestlers. 1948, Mr. Potato himself, Sergeant Slaughter. What a man. Met him at WrestleMania 42.
Mr.
Character.
Potato. I've never heard anyone call him that.
That's it. 1972, same year as myself, the Great Khali. And we
God.
rounded out with
Quality wrestling.
1973, Jazz. There you
It's
go.
Jazz.
She's deadly. She's
Yeah,
kick
Jazz
ass.
is class.
She'd fuck you up.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
not enough people
been
talk about how great Jazz is.
He needs to be
So
in the Hall of
there's
Fame.
that's all they are. Finn Balor, Petey Williams, Sergeant Slaughter, the Great Khali, and Jazz.
Finn
Yeah.
Balor's celebrating his 22nd birthday, I think.
I was at his 21st.
I guarantee he probably does exactly the same now, doesn't he?
His 21st was the same night as a show that was on down in the moat in Kildare. And I think they were wrestling on it. And we went from the show in the moat straight back to Finn Balor's house for his 21st.
Wow. And they still do shows in Mo. NLW run there pretty frequently.
They do. History is history.
Benjamin Button.
How do Moat get more wrestling shows than us? That's a disgrace.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It sells
well,
out.
Done it skilling.
Done us where you guys are located, or done here?
Heck, how come Moat gets more? Moat has a Kip Advisor section in Dustin and Turkey's book that gets more wrestling shows.
A Kip Advisor.
That's deadly.
Oh,
But he gets more wrestling shows than
love
us.
that.
That's
Kip
bollocks.
Advisor. I'm stealing that one.
One of his, he had one in like every city, and he said something about, I think, New Ross. Apparently, JFK before he died, or like a little while before, a little while before he died, went there, like on holiday, and he was so appalled by the events that he arranged to have himself assassinated upon arrival in the States.
It's class. What date was Fergal's birthday, by the way? Universal wants to know. Because he's dead sure it's not today.
No, it's one of the days this week. It's one of the days this week. I'm not sure.
Yeah. He was dead certain it's not today.
Is
Keith,
it
you need
not? It's not today. Those notable birthdays are not for today. They're for this week because we do a weekly show.
It's kicking off.
There you go. Fergal's birthday was July the 25th. No, it's not.
Oh no, this is going to get
Jazz
divisive.
is amazing. Yeah, she is amazing. But listen, there you go.
When are we back?
We are back on Sunday at between 6:30 and 6:45 for our watch along for Clash in Paris. So if you would like to join us for that, we would really appreciate it. Also, if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. I will be back tomorrow night with Darren for Thursday Tier Talk. We will be previewing the weekend's Premier League action. I will be back on Friday night as well with a preview for the Arsenal-Liverpool game coming up this Super Sunday.
No days off, Hogan.
Sunday, right on the back of that Super Sunday match, I will be sliding straight into a watch-along for Clash of Paris. And then Monday, I'll be back with Mark, where we will be reviewing the deadline day, all the transfers that happened in the Premier League. Have teams.
What time is that at? Do you know?
That will be at 9 o'clock. The window shuts at 7, 4 hours early this year.
You just mentioned that the other day. Yeah.
Vince's. Didn't we mention Vince's last week? Vince was last week. And what a party it was. Were you at it, Universal? Were you at it?
Universal could be Vince. Because only Vince say you missed my birthday. The plot thickens. Oh, man.
Now, were you at Finn Balor's birthday or were you at Vince's birthday?
Not the same 24th.
Interesting.
He knows you. It's Ben. Universal is Ben. Listen.
Interesting. We shall see. We shall see. Right. Until next time, folks. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll try and enjoy mine as I battle against the perils of COVID, but however, we'll get through it. Lads, a pleasure as always having you on. Always great banter and always a great chat. We're not always right, but most of the time we are. But there you go. Until next time, folks. Talk to you again real soon. Cheers, lads.
See you later.
Thanks, boys. See you Sunday.
No, God bless, man.